This is a Fox Sports presentation.
Studying film is invaluable for Sunday.
Yeah, in our league, preparation is everything.
People think all we do is practice and lift weights.
Brent, nobody knows how much football is cerebral.
You're right, Reggie.
Between you and him, right?
I'm going to tear your heart out. Sylvester Stallone, Antonio Banderas,
And Brett Favre. Looks like a good flick.
Does Coach know how you watch film?
Nope, let's just keep it our little secret.
Let's play. Antonio Banderas.
This Banderas is everywhere.
Who?
Banderas. Who is this guy anyway?
Isn't he the kicker that the 49ers just signed?
No, that's Zendejas.
Luis or Tony?
No, I think it's Antonio.
You mean Freeman, our receiver?
No, Brett, Banderas. Quick, Brett, pop the tape.
So when a safety rotates, the weak side linebacker.
Hey, Brett, I need you to stay late after practice today to work on our new 4 wide receiver package, okay?
So who's the extra wide receiver?
Antonio.
Freeman?
No, Banderas.
Brett Favre and Reggie White could be starring in their own show today as we welcome you to sold-out Lambeau Field and another round-robin, head-bashing NFC Central game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. And the football weather has come to Green Bay. 42 degrees, we have some wind, and it is overcast, and that's the way they like it up here in the upper Midwest. Hi, everyone. Dick Stockton along with Matt Millen. Last year, 4 teams made the playoffs out of the NFC Central. This year, 5 have a chance to win the division championship. Now, for the Vikings, who lost last week to Tampa Bay on the road, what is their biggest test, Matt?
Well, I think you have to start at the beginning. The beginning of the season, Denny Green said we don't want to throw the football as much as we did last year. They're already ahead of that pace. And so now if you're going to throw the ball, you really have to protect. And Warren Moon can't be hit. And so today you have a critical matchup. Corey Stringer, the rookie offensive tackle, against Reggie White, arguably one of the best defensive ends in the history of the NFL. If they're going to throw the football effectively today, he has to come through.
And Hinton, the all-pro next to him, is not in there, so that's going to make it tougher on Corey Stringer today. About the Packers, they lost Sterling Sharp. Everyone said the offense would suffer without the weapon. That hasn't been the case.
No, not at all, because when they lost Sterling Sharp, they also lost his domineering personality. Now, what did that mean? Well, I think not only did it take over in the huddle, but it took over in the locker room, and a lot of the personality of the players couldn't come through. The one guy who it really kind of put the stranglehold on was Brett Favre. Now, he's settled down and learned how to play the game his way, and then Holmgren is calling his kind of play. He doesn't have to worry about getting the ball to Sharp.
One of the big stories this year has been the emergence of Brett Favre, who now everyone seems to feel is amongst the elite in the league.
Yeah, and he should, because he's found out who he is, and he's playing his own football game. His emotions don't go up and down. They stay in a level pace, and that's when he plays his best.
All right, the Packers and the Vikings have played some scintillating games down to the wire. Another big game today between those two. Back with the start of today's game from Green Bay after these messages. In the early games, Atlanta beat Tampa Bay. The Detroit Lions lead the Washington Redskins. The Bears have now opened it up against Houston, and the 49ers romping against the Rams, looking to go into a tie for first place. In other games, Carolina stuns New Orleans, and Jacksonville may be another expansion team winning today. And the New York Jets sent the Miami Dolphins to their 3rd straight loss, winning their 2nd game in a shocker over the Dolphins.
That's amazing to me.
A lot of surprises today thus far.
The Jets have been playing high school football. Looks like they played like professionals today.
It'll be Kadri Ismail and Ant Lee back deep as Craig Hendrick kicks off a short kick. And it is picked up by Chris Walsh. And Walsh will bring it to the 37-yard line. And the Vikings getting the ball first. Warren Moon, who has posted some big numbers but has not gotten the deal done inside the 20. He's leading this team with Todd Stussy, Randall McDaniel, Jeff Christie, David Dixon for Chris Hinton at right guard, and the #1 pick Corey Stringer at right tackle. Robert Smith, the running back, Carter, Reed, and Ismail when they go to 3 wide receivers, and Adrian Cooper, the tight end. They're starting with 2 tight ends from the 37. And Moon will start with a pass, and he had protection. It was intended for Cooper, incomplete. Defensively for the Green Bay Packers, and Chris Shermer trying to find a way to halt the Vikings. Sean Jones, John Yurkovich, Gabe Wilkins, and Reggie White, who will line up all over the line. George Kuntz, Fred Strickland, and Wayne Simmons, who's had a fine year at outside linebacker. Doug Evans, George Teague, Leroy Butler, and Craig Newsom, the rookie, who is sure to be tested today. 2nd down and 10. Another pass attempt, and this one is overthrown to Charles Evans. Looked like a similar play to the other one. It'll be 3rd down.
Well, we go back to what we just started, Dick, at the top of the game. If the Minnesota Vikings are going to throw and run the football effectively, the offensive line has to play well. Stringer, they're starting a rookie in number 77, and then Dixon inside 71. Now that is really a concern for them today, because now they have to overcompensate to one side, and that sets the defense the rest of the way.
Nickel defense for the Packers. Darius Holland up front. An extra defensive back on 3rd and 10. Ant Lee, the receiver out of the backfield, is checked in. Warren Moon again with time, and that pass is short, but a flag is thrown from upfield. The pass was intended for Jake Reed, and our first penalty of the game, and we'll meet Larry Nevers, our referee.
Offensive pass interference, number 86. Penalty is refused. 4th down.
Ball was on Reed, and so the Vikings will have to punt. So Warren Moon trying 3 passes to no avail, and in comes Mike Saxon, who has been superb at getting inside the 20-yard line. He shouldn't be able to do that on this situation. Charles Jordan is back deep for the Packers. Jordan is going to let it bounce at the 30, and it takes a Green Bay hop, and it's down by the Vikings at about the 32 or 33-yard line. And that's where Green Bay, after the 29-yard kick by Saxon, will take over. Brett Favre having his best day yardage-wise last week, 342 yards against the Lions. Up front, Rutgers, Taylor, Winters, Galbraith, and Earl Dotson. Dotson was a question mark because of a calf injury, but he's in there. Bennett and Levens the backs, Anthony Morgan and Robert Brooks. Brooks a big story, and Mark Shimura the tight end. And Favre will throw on 1st down, and he drills it, and the pass is ruled complete for 9 yards to Robert Brooks. Defensively for the Minnesota Vikings, Alexander, John Randall, Esra Tuaolo, and Roy Barker, the defensive line. The linebackers have picked up a good deal of sacks this year. Ed McDaniel, Jack Del Rio, and Broderick Thomas. McDaniel no longer underrated. He's the real thing. Dwayne Washington, Charles Mincy, and 2 second-round picks, Orlando Thomas and Corey Fuller, make up the secondary. 2nd down and 1. 2 tight ends in there, and the carry by Edgar Bennett, and that's going to be close. It all depends on the spot.
Well, there's Brett Favre. When you look at the Green Bay Packer offense and say, what's the difference? The obvious one is Brett Favre. Now, why is there a difference with him? Well, we talked about it before. He's relaxed. He's calmed down. In the past, Favre's emotions would be way up and then way down. And what he's learned to do is keep his emotions on an even keel, and that's allowed him to play better.
He's going to have another target, Keith Jackson, the veteran tight end who was signed this week, and he's expected to be activated against the Lions next week. 1st down for Green Bay on the 45-yard line. Pressure coming in on Favre, dumps it off to Levens, and Dorsey Levens still on his feet. A big gain for the Packers to the 35 of the Vikings, a gain of 20 yards.
I think the one thing that you're seeing right here is what Coach Mike Holmgren told us this week, and Howie Long talked about it in the pregame show. The Green Bay Packers are not going to be conservative. They are going to call this one and run this one wide open. And he's not going to sit back and try to pigeonhole his play calling. He's just going to let everything just go.
He told us yesterday, he says, I've been too conservative in the past, time to let it out. And Dennis Green may do the same on the other side. First down on the Viking 35.
Green 18,
They bring 8 men to the front, and the handoff is to Edgar Bennett, and not much there. Gain of about a yard, maybe 2.
The great thing that when you start to have an offensive coordinator and head coach who starts calling wide open offense, then you start to get the great chess matches. See, because then defensively you have to do things to counter. And so that time you saw what the Vikings did was walk the 8-man front up in anticipation of a run. These are the kind of games that as a player you absolutely love. Because you start to get into it with your head.
Ogre would like a win somewhere along the line. He's lost 5 out of 6 to Dennis Green. Second down and 9. Favre's pass wide open to Anthony Morgan. He's inside the 15, close to the 10.
Boy, Favre saw that thing right away. And he came up, boom, ball came out. He had time to throw the football. The offensive line doing a nice job inside. Pound down inside on the tackles, go with the play action. And you see how fast he knew where that ball was going to go? You know, Morgan just releases off the line of scrimmage. They're trying to bring the safety, Mincy, all the way over because they came with a corner blitz. And there's the completion.
And without Sterling Sharp, so many more receivers get in the act for Brett Favre. First down on the 12-yard line. 4 wide receivers in the game. Favre has time, drills it, and it's knocked away. Charles Jordan, the intended receiver, and Corey Fuller with good coverage.
It's a nice job right there by Orlando Thomas. Well, he got right in that throwing lane, dropped right into his zone, read Favre the whole way, and then just got his hands up. And this is what happens inside when the field's compressed in that zone. See, because now you can drop and you can do this kind of thing. You don't have a lot of field to cover. So you hold in tight, and then boom, you break out, get your hands up in that throwing lane.
And a rollout on a bootleg. The pass caught. Touchdown to Shimura, the tight end. Well, Keith Jackson may be waiting in the wings, but Mark Shimura has done a remarkable job at tight end for Mike Holmgren's team.
Watch what Shimura does. First thing he does is he gets the jam. Now he's got to get out into the flat. But watch how he sits down. See, this is understanding your zones. You wait till Thomas flows on past you. You just sit down. Wait for things to develop. The other end of that was Favre had the patience to let it develop.
Shimura was a little disappointed when Keith Jackson came in. He's a team man, and he wants the club to do well, but Jackson may be just on loan, as Jimmy Johnson indicated in the pregame show today. Chris Jackie with the point after is good, and the Green Bay Packers, after stopping the Vikings 3 and out with a touchdown pass to Mark Shimura to take a 7-0 lead.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. By Apple, makers of the Macintosh personal computer. If you owned the world's easiest computer, what would you do with it? By the NASDAQ stock market, the stock market for the next 100 years. And by Visa, official card of the NFL.
Back at Lambeau Field, Mark Shimura in his 4th year from Boston College with a 12-yard touchdown catch. And now the Vikings returning. Qadry Ismail on the return on the short kick, and a flag is thrown. We may have an illegal block or hold against the Vikings. Mike Pryor made the tackle on Ismail. And it is against Minnesota.
You know, the key to this is going to be Brett Favre. He's going to roll this way, and he's going to pull this defender out with this read up top.
Holding during the return, number 56.
See how he pulls this guy out? See, he's looking way down. Now I want you to watch Brett Favre's eyes. Because as he rolls, as a defender playing zone, you read the quarterback. See how he's looking downfield, let it stretch, back inside. You can't recover that quick, and that allows for Shimura to go in for the score.
Pete Burcich on the penalty, the 7-play, 66-yard drive. 4 different receivers caught passes from Brett Favre in that drive. First down from the 17 for the Vikings after the penalty. To the air again is Warren Moon, and this time Chris Carter coming off his lowest output of the season with only 4 catches against Tampa Bay. Doug Evans making the tackle and a gain of 4.
You know, the guy to watch today for this Minnesota Viking offense is number 77, Corey Stringer. Big rookie offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Now, the guy has some abilities. He needs to be stronger. You know, he needs a good offseason in the weight room. But what he does is he uses his body and his weight pretty well. And he'll stay in front of you and make you beat him physically.
Got to go against Reggie White. That'll be a lesson. Fake reverse. And the pass to the tight end, Adrian Cooper. Close to the first down. George Kuntz, the linebacker, defending, and a gain of 5 yards.
You see that play right there, what they tried to do is they tried to let Reggie White come up the field and trick him and try to suck him back down inside. But Reggie White's been doing this so long, you can't do that. I mean, it's hard to do it, I should say. So they just roll Moon out, and all of a sudden there's Reggie who forces the ball to come out quick.
Reggie White says this is the best Packer team he has played on, and he says there's no question team will rise or fall on Brett Favre's shoulders, and he wants the whole team to band around the quarterback. That's how much he thinks of Brett.
Well, he knows that in a guy's career, when you're going to have a legitimately great career, which Favre is on the verge of having, there's a time when it's your turn up in the barrel. Reggie White figures right now it's Favre's turn. And when you're hot, you ride that guy.
Moon and White with a couple of moments to chat, and you saw the measurement is short. It'll be 3rd down and about a yard.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Reggie White now as a leader. I've always been impressed with him as a player playing wise, but he understands his role. He understands this team, and he kind of just lets guys develop their own personality. I think that's rare for a player who's as dominant as Reggie White.
Minnesota has yet to run the ball. See what they do on 3rd and 1 from their 26. Quarterback sneak, and the first running play nets the Vikings a first down to the 30-yard line. Warren Moon carrying the ball for the 11th time this year. Denny Green, who 5-1 against the Packers, and pointed out that in the 3 years that Holmgren has been in Green Bay, 9-7, they have 5 of those 21 losses have come at the hands of Green and the Vikings.
Yeah, but not comfortably. I mean, those things have been coin flips for the majority of the time.
1st and 10 from the 30. Robert Smith. Packers stop him, maybe a yard.
Now, the one thing they haven't been running, this is the second running play after the first down, but watch this big guy right here. Corey Stringer, 77, working on Reggie White, 92. Now, what he does well is he has that big body, and he understands how to use it. See, now he's just using body position, stay in front of him, and just make Reggie White have to throw that 340 pounds around.
Tough task for the offensive line. Dixon, 359-pound guard, and Stussy, the second-year tackle. On 2nd and 9, the pass off the back foot, and they're looking for the penalty, but none coming. It was intended for Adrian Cooper and covered by Doug Evans, who's had a fine year at cornerback for Green Bay.
That was very nice, very nicely done inside. And George Teague, the safety, right there sitting where he has to be. Teague and Leroy Butler, the 2 safeties, really are playing pretty good, but you know what? They need to play a little bit better, particularly Leroy Butler. I think Leroy Butler is a player who makes big plays, and in this scheme right now, he's having a little bit of a problem adapting.
Ismail is in at wide receiver. Amp Lee, the back on 3rd and 9. Moon's pass tipped. It was going for Ismail, and it's incomplete. And that'll bring up 4th down. This crowd is aroused with the play of the Packer defense so far.
Ismail's down right now on that play from Newsome. Newsome, the rookie. Ismail struggling to get up. But Newsome has a chance to be pretty special. They're excited about Newsome around here, especially since their last #1 pick on the corner, Terrell Buckley, was a flopperoonie.
And you can't buy that in your grocery store.
Absolutely not.
Mike Saxon will kick for the 2nd time. And Charles Jordan, who's battling knee problems, deep for the Packers. Kick hangs up there, and again it bounces, and it's off the back of a player, and it may be off a Packer, and the Vikings may have caught a break. We'll see.
They may have caught a punt, too.
That is Jeff Brady, who might have recovered the fumble, and apparently that's the case. Warren Moon has yet to come back on the field.
Yeah, they're discussing it right now. I'm going to tell you something. In special teams, when the ball is up in the air like that, as the receiver who's deep, it's his duty to let people know where that ball is. Watch Don Levin's 33. He's pushing Chris Walsh, and it hits him right in the noggin. And the ball comes flying back. Now, I got news. It's not his fault.
By the receiving team and recovered by the kicking team, but by rule, they cannot advance. So it's Minnesota's ball. It's a spot of recovery. First down.
Yeah, well, Brady picked that ball off in the air as it bounced off Evans' head. It's the deep receiver's duty to let him know where that ball is. And that's something that's just going to happen. I mean, you can't avoid it. Yeah, watch Evans right here. The ball's coming right down this way. Jordan, 80, he's got to yell. And as you can see right there, he is. See, he's yelling to get out of the way. It's just unavoidable.
And that's the first time all year the Packers have lost a fumble, amazingly enough, here in their 7th game of the season. They had gone to this point without losing a fumble all year. But they have lost this one, and the Vikings have good field position on the turnover, starting from the Packer 39-yard line. We'll see whether Dennis Green and the Vikings can capitalize. They trail 7-0. Moon's pass to Amp Lee out of the backfield. He went right in between 2 defenders and got at least 10 yards more than he should have. Wayne Simmons ultimately with the stop and a gain of 16 yards.
You know, Amp Lee has that magic. See, he always has a feel for defenders. This is exactly what he does. He just gets guys off balance. He has them dropping in his zone. See how he makes Simmons commit to the outside and then comes right back inside. One little step outside, boom, now back inside. You have to make the defender redirect. That's exactly what he did.
On the 23, first down. Here's Robert Smith trying to turn the corner, and he is knocked out of bounds. Leroy Butler and Wayne Simmons were over there to limit Smith to a gain of 3 yards. Smith, the leading rusher, he's coming off his worst output of the season with only 53 yards last week against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Todd Stussey's down right now, but Robert Smith is a guy who they're really pleased with. You know, and they knew what they had with him in terms of catching the ball and getting outside when he runs with his great speed. I don't think they realized what they had on the inside running game. He's pretty tough. I mean, he's got those spindly little legs, but he's powerful.
Stussey is shaken up, and Smith coming in 5th in the NFL in rushing, making up for the loss of Terry Allen to the Redskins. Corey Stringer, Todd Stussey on the sideline with the injury, and Rick Cunningham will replace him at the left tackle. Cunningham started the year up front for the Vikings. 2nd down and 7. Fade pattern, caught, and then unable to hold on to it was Reed. He had beaten the defender Doug Evans and almost made a sensational catch.
You know what Doug Evans did very, very well? He didn't quit on this ball. The ball's in the air. He runs with him. He knows where he is. Head is down, following the receiver all the way. Now watching the ball comes in. See how he doesn't quit? He kept his hand in and ran right through it. Outstanding defensive coverage. Jake Reed tried to beat him to the top. Evans knew where he was and just stayed with his coverage. This kid's really playing pretty well. He's really 100% better than he was last year and still getting better.
Lenny McGill and Mike Pryor in as 6 defensive backs. 3rd and 7. Packers have not given up a point in the first quarter this year. Moon is getting rushed. Dumps it off to Amp Lee. And Lee will have enough for the first down as he nears the 10-yard line. Darius Holland made the tackle, a pickup of 9 with 7:05 to.
Nice call by the Vikings right there. I mean, you know you're going to get the pressure. You know you have to throw the ball. So what they do is they send their wideouts down the field to stretch it. Then they come back underneath. There's Fitz Shermer, the defensive coordinator for the Packers. Locked right now in that little bit of a chess game going on.
2 tight ends for the Vikings from the 11-yard line. Passes to the second tight end, Andrew Jordan, and he gets to the 4.
Now there's a guy, Andrew Jordan, who their Vikings are still waiting to fulfill his potential. Potentially, this guy can be really extraordinary. He runs well. He catches the ball. He needs to be a better blocker, but he understands zones. He sits down in them, and he'll understand the passing game. They need him to get better.
He's caught 1 touchdown pass this season. 2nd down and 3. 3 tight ends. John Jarak is the blocking back for Robert Smith. And Smith gets over for the touchdown. The Vikings have scored, taking advantage of the turnover on a 4-yard run by Robert Smith.
And that was all Robert Smith. You know, Robert Smith is going to get, they're going to start over here. It'll get bottled up. And then once everybody flows, he comes right back and cuts back. And this is just all feel. Something you can't teach. Jarak right in the hole, boom. Now see how he cuts it back, just slashes all the way back, finds the open spot, sits in for the score. It's not like it's a real abrupt cut. It's just kind of one of those sliding kind of guy. That's what he is.
And he got the ball over, so not since the Buffalo game in Week 11 last season have the Packers given up a touchdown in the first quarter. Fuad Reve's extra point ties the game with 5 minutes 50 seconds to go. What did you expect between these teams? Robert Smith with his 5th touchdown on the ground this year to tie the game at 7-7. 39 yards on 6 plays. The fumble off the helmet of Doug Evans setting up the Vikings score. Charles Jordan and Travis Jervey back deep for the Packers as Fuad Reves prepares to kick off for Minnesota. It is a short kick, and it's going to be Jordan at the 11-yard line. Big acceleration and brings it out close to the 30-yard line. And an 18-yard return. Let's check the amazingly tight Central Division. The Bears now in first place by beating Houston, Tampa Bay losing. The Packers can also go into a tie for first if they win. This is the second of 5 straight weeks the Packers are playing division foes. And Detroit 2-4 in overtime with Washington right now, Matt.
Yeah, the thing that amazes me about this Central is when you say who's the most dominant team, and you say nobody. There is not a dominant team. And when you look at that, these teams are so close. Their records show exactly that there is no dominant team.
Mark Ingram is in as the 3rd wide receiver for the Packers. Edgar Bennett tries to turn the corner and gets a couple of yards. Right now for a McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
I think as you well know, Washington has been involved in 3 close games, all losses here. Eddie Murray bangs home a 39-yarder with 4 seconds left in regulation. That pushes it to overtime. Washington has the ball in Detroit territory. We'll keep you updated. Back to Dick and Matt.
It's amazing. I mean, they beat the 49ers and they go playing a team that's struggling. It's really hard to tell what a Jekyll Hyde team is.
Yeah, they're more Jekyll than Hyde.
2nd down and 6. Bennett goes in motion. And Favre is sacked, and Ed McDaniel didn't have anyone in front of him. He came in without any resistance. And a loss of 7.
Yeah, and the reason's right here, John Randall, because they're going to double him, and that's going to allow McDaniel to come right through. Anytime Randall is in there, and you have to put 2 people on him, see, this guard should have gotten over. He couldn't get there. They're concerned with Randall. McDaniel comes right through. That's a good football player, Ed McDaniel. You mentioned it at the start of the game where you said no longer underrated. You're exactly right. He is for real.
Everyone has taken notice of number 58. 3rd and 13. Mickens, the 4th wide receiver, and the pass is dropped by Terry Mickens. He was there, should have made the catch, and it would have been a 1st down for the Packers.
What a nice play by Brett Favre. Well, that ball was right where it had to be. And that's right there is a perfect example of the difference in Favre this year as opposed to last. You can see the ball right there. Mickens should have made the catch. But in prior years, Favre would have gotten the pressure, got sacked, got upset, and then thrown the ball away. This time he comes back, sets his feet, the ball's right where it has to be.
Hendrick will be kicking to Amp Lee and Charles Mincy. David Palmer with a hamstring pull, unable to play, so the Vikings don't have that returning today. Fine kick by Hendrick. He's been superb this year. And Mincy on the return, and the Packers with superb coverage led by Marcus Wilson. 44-yard kick. The Vikings with a tie score take over on offense. Todd Stussy went off for x-rays of his injured shoulder, and so Rick Cunningham continues at left tackle for the Vikings, who start from their 38-yard line. Chris Carter will line up to the top.
First down.
Charles Evans moves, and the handoff is to Robert Smith. Slices off the left tackle and gets to the 40-yard line, a gain of 2. Reggie White and Leroy Butler combined.
You know, when the ball's not coming to you all the time, you got to get on your horse and move right down the line. This is just instinctive because you have to pick your spots. If you go too quick, now he's taking an inside move with Simmons coming off the corner. But if you go too quick, heck, they'll just break that thing right behind him. This time Reggie draws the bead, sees the thing, comes right down the line.
He has 5.5 sacks to lead the Packers. 2nd down and 8. Boone with a short drop, and the fine catch by Jake Reed. He was hit immediately by Doug Evans, who continues to play outstanding cornerback for the Packers. A pickup, though, of 7.
A little bit of a baptism down here. Watch Reggie White. He's going to hump Corey Stringer. So he's going to get all of his weight moving this way, and then he's stop, put the brakes on, and come back underneath, and he'll throw him. Now, all he's trying to do is get a weight shift, and it's a feel. You take him up, boom, right there. See? All that 340 pounds going past you. It looks like you're throwing sacks of potatoes around, but really all you're doing is getting a guy off balance.
They don't want mashed potatoes, I don't think. 3rd down and 1. They got the 3 tight ends with Jarrett blocking up front. Carter, the lone wide receiver, and it's Smith. He's got the 1st down.
He got that first all because of Robert Smith. This is 2nd play. The touchdown was all Robert Smith, and now if he gets his first, which I think he has, it's all Robert Smith again. The Packers hit the point of attack and stacked that whole thing up. And Smith did the old pike position reversal, which of course I picked up in the diving world, and got that 1st down.
And a fine degree of difficulty for Robert.
Except for that Russian judge gives us a bad score.
No editorializing on the judges. They're very fair now, man.
Yeah, right.
We're going to measure to see whether they have the 1st down. It appeared that Smith did. These teams have played some phenomenal battles over the years. Very close battles, and many times the Vikings have won because of a big defensive turnover and a big play. It's not that their offense has done well, as you pointed out, against the Pack defense.
Yeah, or maybe the Packers let down defensively. Remember a couple years ago, Eric Gulliford catches that ball. Now he's out of here. Heck, he's in one of the expansion teams. But it's always a big play. These games always come down to the end.
1st down on the 48. Play action fake, and Moon is going to get sacked.
Sean Jones, very nicely done.
Well, that's something that the Packers haven't gotten from Sean Jones, and Mike Holmgren told us the other day that he wanted more of a pass rush from the veteran.
Well, he's getting it from him right here. He's going to work upside and then come back inside. Now he's working on Rick Cunningham. See how he starts at top? Same thing that Reggie White did. Just getting that balance of the power and the weight going one way and then coming back underneath.
Only his 2nd sack of the year. And he was a prolific sack artist with the Houston Oilers before he came over to Green Bay. 2nd down and 18. Packers show blitz, and Moon on a screen has Amp Lee.
Oh, what a play.
And Lee is going to be stopped. And a great play by Wayne Simmons, who was a #1 draft choice a couple of years ago, and he has filled the bill in the absence of Bryce Paup, who was lost to the Buffalo Bills.
That is an outstanding play. You know, you watch this from home and you go, heck, this doesn't even look like much. But I got to tell you, he gets out there, he gets on the blocker. Look how he closes it down, beats the blocker, comes back underneath, Now he's man-to-man and still makes the play. You know, at home you go, what the heck, it's just a 1-yard game. That's a great play.
So it's 3rd and 19. Out of the shotgun. Moon up the middle, and the pass is broken up. And it was Doug Evans all over Chris Carter, and he couldn't have played the terrific Carter any better.
He's playing a heck of a game, Evans. You know, the best thing he did was knew where his help was, because he was trailing and he had the safeties over the top. All he had to do was run underneath Carter and force a bad throw, which is what he did.
Mike Saxon to kick again. Jordan and Pryor are deep. There's Jordan. Line drive kick, and will send Jordan back to the 10. Turns the corner and makes up something, but it looked like the Packers would be hemmed in deep in their own territory. Charles Evans made the tackle, a 14-yard return. Well, how close has it been between Mike Holmgren and Dennis Green, who were together with San Francisco on that staff?
I mean, you can see that except for right here. This one, 20-7, and that's relatively close. You know, you're only talking 13 points there, but these things have been so tight for 2 reasons. First of all, I think the familiarity of each team. You know what to expect all the time. And then don't forget, these 2 guys are on the same staff, so they know each other, and they're kind of afraid to let things all out. And when that happens, you get a little bit more conservative, and then you get those really tight games.
From 86 to 88, they were working under Bill Walsh. From the 24-yard line, Favre with a fake, going up top to Brooks, and the pass is too long. Covered downfield by Corey Fuller. There's Fuller, who last week, according to Trent Dilfer, Fuller spit at him in their Tampa Bay game, and Fuller said, well, I'm not sure whether I did it. I don't think I did it, but I apologize if I did. What do you think of that?
No, I think he handled it the right way. You know, I think he came back and said, I apologize to the Buccaneers and also to Dilfer and also to my own team, because I'm not about that. And I know in the course of games, some stuff comes flying out of your body that's not supposed to, spits being one of them.
Hope the only thing. 2nd and 10, and the give to Bennett. Edgar Bennett, what a terrific bit of running, gets the first down for the Packers.
He must have been watching Robert Smith, because that was the same kind of move. So he just cut everything back. You know, when you get defenses like the Minnesota Vikings, like the Packers, who run so well to the ball, the biggest ally you have as a runner is cutting things back, because you use their speed against them. That time he starts inside, gets stopped, and boom, come back to backside.
This may be the last play of the first quarter. First down for Green Bay on their 36. Favre takes one way. And he shuffled the pass out of bounds. That was the only way he could get rid of it, but he avoided the sack. Great pressure by Ed McDaniel, among others. And that will end the first quarter. Packers and Vikings in a familiar battle, all even. It's 7-7. Her first mistake was taking the case of an accused murderer. Her next mistake could be her last. Don Johnson and Rebecca De Mornay star in the world broadcast premiere of Guilty as Sin this week on the Fox Tuesday night movie.
That's a pretty good flick. I like the ending. Should I tell you what it is?
Why don't you wait? Start of the second quarter here at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Along with Matt Millen, I'm Dick Stockton. Vikings and the Packers tied 7-7. And a 2nd down and 10 coming up for the Packers on the 36. Favre's pass incomplete. He was going for Shimura, but a bit too wide. Right now, for a McDonald's game break, let's again return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
Hey, Dick, the Heartbreak Kids of Washington finally came through with a close one in overtime. Darrell Green with the interception, his 4th of his career that he's returned for a touchdown. Washington wins it in OT. Detroit, 17 straight losses at Washington. Back to Dick and Matt.
All right, JB, and Detroit, as a result of that loss, now in last place, 2-5, 3 full games behind the Bears in that Central Division race. 3rd and 10. Favre going for Brooks. And it is incomplete. No flags are down. Robert Griffith was defending downfield, and a big pass rush from John Randall.
Yeah, Favre did not get enough on this ball because Brooks clearly wins this battle. See, he's got the step, he's got body position. The ball just has to come back down here. See, it has to come this way, over the top. Instead, it was underthrown, and then the defender can make the play.
Greg Hendrick will kick for the second time. Favre had completed several passes early, but the last 5 have fallen incomplete. Back deep is Ampley and Charles Mincy. Booming kick by Hendrick. And Mincy and Lee nearly collide. And it's Ampley, and he is stopped in his tracks inside the 15-yard line. Pretty good hang time by Hendrick there. Mike Pryor made the tackle.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Mitsubishi, the new thinking in automobiles. By Transamerica, the people in the pyramid are working for you. By Taco Bell, introducing the new nacho cheese double-decker taco at Taco Bell, only for a limited time. And by Magnavox, we make technology people want. Magnavox, smart, very smart.
Vikings will start from the 14-yard line in a 7-7 game early here in the second quarter. Evans, the running back, is split wide to the left, number 29. 2 wide receivers to the right for Warren Moon. Pass up the middle is intercepted. George Kuntz, and George Kuntz has it down to the 6-yard line, and so Warren Moon threw it right into the hands of George Kuntz. You'd never think a veteran like that would make that kind of a mistake.
Well, you know what happened? He saw the coverage, and he was looking for Chris Carter all the way. Now, he saw they motioned their back out here, and that put a backer on Carter inside. Kuntz did a great job of being just sneaky enough to not be seen. And I'll tell you who didn't see him was Warren Moon, because the ball went right to him. This is just a bad decision by Moon, but a nice job by Kuntz of just sneaking around back there.
You know, that's only the 4th interception of the year for the Green Bay Packers, and Warren Moon can't believe it himself. And for George Kuntz, that is his first career interception. And the Packers are knocking on the door. They have a 1st and goal on the Vikings 7. And here's Edgar Bennett. And the man that hit him first was Jack Del Rio.
Now, here's what happened in the last one. See, Moon, they go by formation. They put Evans out here. Your corner stays. You know you have zone. See, now they have the slot receiver. Your backer, Kuntz, has to sneak out. Moon sees that there's nobody here, so he tries to sneak it in on Kuntz. Now, watch Kuntz. He's just hanging. See that? Perfect. As a backer, you can't do it any better. You hang to the outside and then break on the ball.
2nd and goal from the 5. 4 wide receivers line up. Favre with a fake and a toss. Wide open touchdown to Charles Jordan.
Fuller fell down.
That's why it looks so easy. 5 yards for the score.
Well, these Packers are making a habit of flopping on guys after they score, aren't they? Now watch Cory Fuller, 27. He's on Jordan. He's going to go inside. There's the bite. Then he can't recover. Lost his feet. I got to tell you, I was down on the field before the game. It's a soft field. Soft, slow field. And when it gets wet like that, and you're double moving, it's tough to recover.
Well, a lot of fans, the viewers may not know, it rained hard the last couple of days, and even though the field was covered, the moisture got underneath. Jackie's extra point is good, and it is now 14-7, but the field is not in superb condition. Brett Favre doesn't care. He's got the Packers up by a touchdown. Warren Moon, who has thrown 2 interceptions in each of his last 3 games coming in, throws one here. And Mike Holmgren talked about how the Packers need to get some turnovers to make it a short field for Brett Favre. 7 yards, really a short field in this case, and the Packers taking advantage. Hendrick kicking off. And picked up inside the 10 by Amp Lee. And Lee with a good return to the 35-yard line. 24-yard return by Lee. Let's look at next week's schedule on Fox NFL Sunday. Cowboys and Falcons. That'll be a big game as Deion Sanders returns. back in Atlanta where he began his pro career. Green Bay against Detroit for many of you. And a big schedule coming up next week. Big doubleheader on Fox NFL Sunday. Vikings first down, trailing 14-7. Robert Smith is wrapped up immediately.
Freddie Strickland made a really nice play. You know, that's another one of those plays that kind of get lost inside. But you just don't see football like that. Strickland came up, stuffed the back, got off the back, and made the tackle in the hole. I mean, this is very good linebacker play. He's just gonna come up. Watch Evans come up, take the guy on. See, he wins right here. Now get rid of him, get over, make the tackle. If you watch that thing, you'll say, heck, was for no gain. That's very good football play.
Strickland played for Shermer in Los Angeles with the Rams, so he knows his system. Second down and 10 on a draw play, and the give is to Robert Smith. Report on a couple of injuries for the Packer. Gabe Wilkins, starting defensive tackle, is out with a bruised knee and not expected to come back. And Anthony Morgan, who began the game at wide receiver, has an elbow injury, but he could get back. And there is Darius Holland, third-round pick from Colorado, who has moved into Wilkins' spot.
They like Darius Holland. That kid's got a chance to be a pretty good football player. You know, I'm talking to Sean Jones yesterday, and Sean's been around for 12 years. He said, you know, right now the Packers have players who are going to be really good. If they can keep them together in 3 years, they'll be outstanding.
Two tight ends, third down and 8. Ismail goes wide left. Penalty marker is down, and the pass for Chris Carter is off his hands, and a flag down there. And a pass interference penalty is coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be on Evans. Evans just caught him with his right hand at the end of that play.
There was another penalty, though, before the pass.
And they will offset. Hey, Evans is playing good football. He's competing. That's all you can ask from a corner.
They're not going to Newsome. The man they're going after is Evans, and he's been equal to the task.
Illegal shift on the offensive team. Offensive pass interference on number 80 of the offensive team. Both penalties are refused. It'll be fourth down.
Yeah, they're going to call this one on Carter. You're going to watch Evans is going to come into your picture with his right arm. He's going to bump him at the end. Watch how he stays with him, runs with him, understands man. See, there's the hand right there. And now that's right there. That's what they're calling. I don't like the call. I thought that's what they were going to call. They should just let that one wash anyway.
So
good
two
football.
penalties against the Vikings.
Yeah.
And Saxon will kick. Jordan and Pryor are back deep for Green Bay. Pryor falls for the fair catch and makes the catch way out of bounds. We have 12:06 remaining in the first half. The Packers taking advantage of that interception, leading 14-7. Today's Aflac trivia question is, who were this year's inductees into the Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame? They've got a lot of distinguished people, including that man and that man whose stadium bears his name.
And also one of my all-time favorites in Ray Nitschke. Ray Nitschke, one of the great gladiators of this league. Still thinks he has one good hit left in him, and I believe him.
And he may, right?
He does.
Brett Favre's last two completions have both been for touchdowns. Starting from the 27-yard line, will throw on first down. Slings it downfield and open and off the hands of Robert Brooks. He had beaten his defender, Dwayne Washington.
How Favre got that ball out there, I have no idea. They went play action. He looked around, and he threw this thing with pressure coming on him. He threw it. Watch how he throws this ball. He doesn't step into this. Gets his feet around. Look at this. Feet are parallel, and he still puts this ball out there a good 40 yards right where it has to be. Brooks has to run right to this, which he does. Gets the hands out, extends. Should have been a catch.
And we mentioned Anthony Morgan was shaken up, but he's back in the lineup now. 2nd and 10. And the handoff to Edgar Bennett. He's tripped at the 30-yard line by John Randall. A pickup of 3. That'll bring up third down and long for the Packers. Randall no longer with Henry Thomas by his side on the defensive line.
But you want to know something that's kind of weird? Almost, well, he's more effective. You know, he's got He's got his partner in crime gone to Detroit. But right now, Randall has picked up his side of the slack. He needs the other guys around him to play that much better because he's playing very well.
3rd and 7, 4 wide receivers with Brooks moving. Brett Favre runs out of the pocket and flips one to Anthony Morgan. And that will be enough for a first down. That was a well-conceived play, and Favre bought time and got 12 yards and a first down to the 42 of Green Bay.
Well, you got the best guy in the league at throwing on 3rd down right there. And I think a couple things have to be said. We talked about his maturity. We talked about him settling down. But then I think it goes to the sideline, too. I think Mike Holmgren is calling very good plays. That time, you know, the previous play goes deep, but there's pressure. So what does he do? You alleviate that by moving your quarterback around. You get him outside the pocket, let the defense stretch, and throw it in there.
Ball at the 43. 2 tight ends with Thomason joining Shimura. Roll out by design, and the pass is thrown away. You know, last year after the Packers lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, Favre and Mike Holmgren had a very important meeting. Up to that point, Holmgren had called all the plays, but then he brought Favre in and he says, we're going to be joined at the hip from now on. We're either going to go to the top or into the dumpster, as Holmgren said, and you're going to have input in what the plays are, and that seems to have broken the ice between the two.
Yeah, and it's put them on the same page because Brett Favre knows that Mike Holmgren is vulnerable. Because if he's going down, Holmgren's going down.
I think that relaxed Favre a great deal. 2nd and 10. Pitches to Bennett. Edgar Bennett. Nearly a first down. Orlando Thomas making the tackle, and a fine lead block by Aaron Taylor. 8-yard gain.
Boy, Aaron Taylor, 73. He got all that moving. He's going to get right outside. And now this is always a big mismatch in terms of size. Watch Taylor turn the corner. Nice job of Edgar Bennett of setting up that block. Now he's going to let Taylor get in front of him. Then he just cuts right back inside that rear end, clear that left side out. Washington trying to do the best job of forcing it in. But not before Bennett picks up 9 to set up 3rd and 1 and a half.
3rd down. 1.5 to 2.
You keep stretching it.
Favre's pass. And Shimura makes a catch between 2 defenders and gets a first down. A terrific catch. Charles Mincy and Orlando Thomas back there, and Shimura made a grab. Some people may say, who needs Keith Jackson?
Yeah, I think Shimura's saying that right now. Look at this catch. So he runs. You got people right in there. Here's what you can't teach. See, you go up there and get it at its highest point, knowing that everybody's jumping. Shimura has good size. He's almost 6'5". Watch him just go up. Watch how he catches it at the ball at its highest point. See that? Right there. Before anybody else can get there, and he comes down a big catch.
21-yard gain and a first down on the Viking 28. They send Bennett wide left. And a fade pattern to Ingram. Overthrown. He was covered by Fuller.
2nd and 10. Ball remains on the Viking 28.
Green Bay with a big edge in total yards thus far over the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings, both teams have capitalized on turnover.
Yeah, they've also had the ball a little bit longer, too. There's Keith Jackson. I spoke with Shimura right before the game, you know, and asked him about Keith Jackson. And his attitude was great. And the one thing he said, which is smart, I can learn from this guy, which will make me better. I think that's the right way to approach it.
And he can, too. Hard count. And let's see whether the Packers moved or the Vikings were drawn.
Prior to the snap, false start, 76 offense.
It's Harry Galbraith, the right guard.
Still 2nd down.
Well, the answer to today's Aflac trivia question, who are this year's inductees into the Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame? And the answer, John Anderson, the linebacker, who played from 78 to 89, and Lee Remmel, who is the director of public relations. He was a sports writer for the Press Gazette, covering the Packers for 29 years. He's been the head of public relations for 21, 50 years in the business here in Green Bay.
And that's my guy, Lee Remmel.
Pass up the middle, intended for Brooks. Brooks has had a problem generally holding on to the ball today. That's incomplete, and that will bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, but you see who is right there talking to him? Look at that, Brett Favre. So he knows he's coming right back to him. And you don't worry about the drop pass. That's not a big deal. I mean, there's going to come a time when you got to have it. And Favre knows that. And that's the leadership that you see he expresses that he hadn't in the past.
Ninth play of the drive. 3rd and 15. Favre stepping up, and his pass.
Nice play.
It was intended for Jordan, and 2 defenders in front might have screened him and got a piece of it.
Yeah, Alfred Jackson was right there.
And Charles Mincy with him.
Yeah, that was a nice play by Alfred Jackson. And that looked like it had 6 written all over it. See Fuller there, and then here comes Jackson. Gets the hand up, just gets a piece of it. And by doing that, Jordan can't get his hands on it and prevents a score. Nice defense.
Chris Jackie, who last week made 3 field goals but also missed 2. Injured with a hamstring pull earlier. This will be his longest attempt, 51 yards. Or longest if he makes it. And the kick is long enough, and the kick is no good. It is off to the left. But Jackie gave it a shot. Missed field goal, and the score remains the Packers 14, the Vikings 7, with just under 9 minutes remaining here in the first half.
Yeah, in the commercial, Gil Haskell, the wide receivers coach, came over to Robert Brooks just trying to encourage him. And Brooks is right there. He understands the whole thing. You know, he knows there's going to be times you drop him. So you see him right there. He's saying, I'll get mine.
Todd Stussey's back in the lineup. X-rays on his shoulder negative, so he's back in left tackle. On first down, Boone's pass is complete to Andrew Jordan, and a fumble.
Ground can't cause a fumble.
It is a free ball, and the Packers have it.
They're running. There's no whistles.
Leroy Butler. There was no whistle. Now they're having a conference at the 45-yard line.
Heck, they never even looked at Leroy Butler. They just stood there and looked at each other.
George Teague had recovered it.
And here's what has to be said. See, the ground can't cause a fumble, but if he wasn't touched and the ball came out, it's a live ball. If he was touched and then went down, then the ball's dead. But if it's still a live ball because nobody touched him, then it doesn't matter. And that ball's out, that's a live ball. Had he been touched when he was down, then it's a moot point.
Larry Nemmers and his fellow officials talking it over. It appears clear.
The whistle blew when the player was down, so it's first down this way.
That's the only thing we didn't hear was the whistle.
That's a quick whistle. And I wouldn't know why he would call it because nobody touched him. Let's listen to see if you can hear this whistle call before he's down. Lying. There's no whistle there. That should have been a live ball.
So the Vikings maintain possession, and they have the ball in Packer territory on the 45-yard line. 8:42 to go in the second. 14-7 Green Bay. Crowd still unhappy with that call. Handoff is to Robert Smith, and a penalty marker is down, and Smith is dragged down by George Teague. Smith 13 yards in 7 carries coming into the series, and a touchdown. And that'll be marked off against the Vikings. Bring the ball back into Minnesota territory.
You think Mike Holmgren was a little bit upset about this thing?
Looks that way.
Offense, number 64. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Randall McDaniel.
They got Randall McDaniel. Yeah, you have to remember, you have to listen to this and then see if somebody touched them to warrant the whistle. You can't hear a whistle there at all, and Jordan wasn't touched down. In my opinion, that should have been a fumble.
First down and 20. Evans in motion. Moon loses his footing and now is sacked, and that's Reggie White. So Jones and White have sacks today for the Packers.
And I'll tell you, Sean Jones came right there. And then the other thing is, when you're looking for Chris Carter to get open and he doesn't get there, you have no place to throw the ball. Nice job by Newsome competing. See, he's seeing that the whole way. And then the other side of the ball, your other big guy, Evans, who's been playing outstanding football today, he covers them. There's no place to throw the football. Because then you got Reggie White on one side and Sean Jones just pushing that whole thing in there. Moon has no place to go except get sacked.
2nd and 30 for the Vikings. Moon stepping up. And the pass is caught by Ant Lee. And the Packers will let him have the short stuff. That'll bring up 3rd and long. That was a 9-yard pickup. Vikings have rushed for only 17 yards in the game, so the Packers have stopped that, although frankly, Matt, Minnesota came out throwing in this game.
Yeah, they really have. And then I think for 2 reasons. First of all, they're running to their left side because they have the rookie Stringer on Reggie White and then Dixon to that side. And then you have your all-pro Randall McDaniel to the left. And so they're running to that side, and to offset it, they keep throwing.
There's Stringer on 3rd and 21. Moon. Incomplete. Jake Reed.
Boy, he felt Reggie White that time. Reggie White went with that Howie Long hump move, as he calls it. You're going to watch him up the top. He's going to throw him back this way. Get the weight moving. Now feel it. Throw it. Come back inside. Dixon's right there, but he's right in the face of Warren Moon. You know, this actually is not a bad job by Stringer when he knows he has help back to the inside. You can almost give up the inside when you know your help's in there.
Mike Saxon kicking, and Jordan and Pryor deep for Green Bay. Good kick. Pryor, fair catch on the 16-yard line. There was contact. No flag is down. 40-yard punt by Saxon.
Well, that guy's playing pretty good today. He knows he got himself a rook, so he's going to stay on him.
Well, starting this Wednesday, Fox presents 7 star-studded nights of Hollywood fun. Catch spine-tingling episodes of your favorite Fox shows, plus special events and world premieres all week long. It's all part of Fox's Halloween Bash, beginning this Wednesday.
See all those ugly faces in there look like our pregame show.
You said it, I didn't. Favre to pass, and overthrowing Brooks, who is well covered downfield.
I'll tell you, the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers is doing a pretty good job right now, particularly Earl Dotson. Remember Dotson last week blew out his calf. There was all kinds of speculation whether he's going to play. I watched him in practice the other day. He's hobbling all over the place. Tough guy. There he is. Shows right up and he plays. The big man got pretty good feet. It means something to him. See, it means something to play. And anytime you have that quality, you got a chance to be good.
Ball on the 16-yard line. Barr, pass is caught by Shimura, and he takes quite a hit from Orlando Thomas, but Shimura can handle it. And the tight end sending a message of his own today with a 24-yard pickup. He had a big game last week, Shimura did, against the Detroit Lions, and now has 3 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown.
Now, if you have a tight end who can get open and block, you have yourself quite a commodity. Chewy Shimura, as they call him, is that guy, and he's just getting better, Dick. This kid's got a good future.
First down on the 39. Edgar Bennett knocked back. Randall got in there, and Broderick Thomas as well. We haven't mentioned Thomas's name much today, and that's where the Vikings also hope to get some pass rush.
Well, I'll tell you, we haven't mentioned him, but when you watch him on tape, he's coming. He's just been there. He's been pushing and pushing, but he hasn't gotten the numbers yet. And they need him to do well. When you set this defense, what you try to do is you put Broderick Thomas on one side and Randall on the other, and then you got to pick your poison. Which way are you going to slide? Which way are you going to double?
Shimura comes out of the ball game. Might have been shaken up a bit on 2nd down and 11. Screen pass to Edgar Bennett.
Boy, what a play by John Randall. John Randall tried to spin move inside, saw what was developing, just turned and ran and made the play. Watch him right inside. He's going to go in here, do the old dipsy doodleitis, come back the other way. Look at that. Now he sees it right away. Now turn and run. Now, there's one thing when you're 280, and there's another thing when you're 280 and can run. You run down a running back outside.
There's Shimura, who might have shaken up his ankle. We'll check on Shimura, who's made some big catches so far today for Green Bay. 3rd down and 8 on the 41 of the Packers. Favre's pass, and he was going for Jordan, but it was not on the money by any stretch, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Well, I got to tell you, down on the sideline, I'm looking down here. Mike Holmgren didn't like what he saw. He was signaling in to get a timeout, and he was standing there giving the timeout signal the whole time. It wasn't seen. Incomplete pass.
Holmgren used to really show his displeasure at Brett Favre, but he's kind of softened that up as well, and Favre appreciates that aspect. Hendrick to kick. Lee and Mincy are back deep. Amp Lee. He did a great job of getting out of trouble and picking up 14 yards on the return. Fans, this game is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the expressed written consent of the Green Bay Packers and the National Football League is prohibited. Dick Stockton and Matt Millen, we have 4:18 to go in the first half. 14-7 the score. Packers scored on their opening drive when Shimura, who's getting his ankle tape, caught a 12-yard pass from Favre. Robert Smith tied it up following a turnover for the Vikings with a 4-yard run, and then Favre hit Jordan after a turnover to give the Packers their lead. 1st down, and Robert Smith finds some running room up the middle and picks up about 8 yards.
You can see the last 4 possessions that they've had, they've really done nothing. You got the interception. And I think what has to be said here is, first of all, they're throwing, so they become a little bit more one-dimensional. Now, with Stussy back, that can change. Then number 2, I think the Packers are playing outstanding defense, particularly on the corners, taking away Jake Reed and Chris Carter and forcing Moon to have to go back underneath.
2nd down and 3. And they go to Robert Smith again, and Smith with a big gainer. And a great block downfield by Chris Carter, and Smith gets some extra yards and is out of bounds at about the 33-yard line, and a gain of 28. Craig Newsome pushed him out of bounds.
Yeah, watch the inside 3. Randall McDaniel and Christie inside, then Dixon 71. See what they do? He sees this hole right away. Nice job by Dixon on the backer. Christie inside, then just let that guy with the skinny legs run. Then you get down the field and you're playing man-to-man. First job, run the guy off. And then at the other end, you got to make sure that you get the block when you have to.
1st down on the 34 following the 28-yard run by Smith. And on a reverse, here is Qadry Ismail, and he slips. As Matt mentioned, we've had rain the last 2 days, and though the field was covered, there was moisture underneath. And before the game, on the field, you could tell that it was not in good shape. Craig Hendrick, the punter, was talking about it, and it's been evident as several of the players have slipped.
Well, and you know, and as a player, you have to know your field, and you have to know your opponent. And we've talked about this before, like when you're on AstroTurf, what do you do? See, when you're on a field like this, you got to go, and you got to look at a Reggie White, or you look at a Robert Brooks, you look at the shoes and cleats that they're wearing before the game, and you make your adjustment.
2nd down, 3, winding down to 2 minutes to go in the half. Play fake and move, getting a rush and completing the pass. And that's to Jordan, Andrew Jordan, and a 1st down to about the 10-yard line. An 18-yard pickup, and the Vikings are threatening.
Same kind of play that Brett Favre scored to Shimura on. Moon does the exact same thing. Buys time, stretches the field going wide, wait for your tight end to sit down in the zone, and throw it to him.
3 for 39 for Jordan. And Matt, we're down to the 2-minute warning here at Lambeau Field. Coming up on the Dockers halftime, JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy, all 4 of them will have all the scores and highlights from around the NFL. That's call coming up, I think, on the Dockers halftime.
I would think it would too. There's Sean Jones, defensive end, who's kind of frustrated right now with his lack of sacks. And you can see so much has been talked about it, but that's a very smart football player. fact, yesterday, I walked into the locker room, and there's Sean Jones. Went back and picked up all his tapes from when he was at Houston to see what the difference was in him.
Well, he's got a sack today.
And some pressure.
First and goal from the 10. 3 tight ends for the Vikings, and they give it to Robert Smith. Changes direction and trying to beat the defender to the end zone, and doesn't. He is out of bounds at about the 2.
Well, there's a testament to Newsom's speed.
Greg Newsome chased him.
Yeah, Newsome, and I'll tell you, Robert Smith tried to outrun that angle to the corner, and Newsome got on his horse. See, now he's aiming up here. See, now Smith will try to outrun that thing, and a nice job, very nice job by Newsome. Yeah, you got to see where the ball is. This, the cone. That's a touchdown, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it is.
That is a touchdown.
That's right. His feet don't have to be there, but the ball will cross the plane. Second and goal.
Yeah, like Madden always says, the cone is the end zone.
Second and goal from the 2, and Robert Smith stopped. It'll be third down. Smith has carried 11 times for 56 yards and a touchdown, and now the Packers and their fans urging on the defense.
Yeah, remember, it's not where your feet are. His feet, he goes up in the air when he's still in bounds. Now you have to watch the ball. Smith's aware of it. Look at the cone right there. See, he's got to get the ball up. He's still in bounds. That is inside the cone. That's 6 points.
Third down and goal from the 2. Moon under pressure from Reggie White, and now Sean Jones, and the pass caught for the touchdown by Jake Reed. Warren Moon, who has had so much problems with this offense inside the 20 in the red zone, finally cashes in, and Jake Reed with his 3rd touchdown catch of the year.
Well, as poor of a decision as it was to throw the interception earlier to Kuntz, is as brilliant of a play as this is with Warren Moon. At 39 years old, he made this whole play with his feet, because he just takes off and runs, and then Newsome struggling down there, and if they're going to let him play, that's fine. Hey, I'm all in favor of that. Newsome gets the jam past the 5 yards. Jake Reed throws him past him. Let him play. 6 points.
Juan Reves with the extra point. You know, he is 38. He's 39 next month. He'd like to be called 38.
Yeah, he'd like to be called 25.
For sure. It's now 14-14 here at Lambeau with a minute left.
Yeah, big and physical is something that's an asset for you when you're running plays like that. Newsome was right on him, got the good jam, got the press, and then Jake Reed just fought him off, and at the end throws him to the side, gets open, the ball's there.
Warren Moon now with 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on the year. He has thrown 3 passes to his wide receivers for completions and 8 to running backs and tight ends, and a scoring drive capped by the touchdown pass. One minute exactly remaining in the first half. 14-14 the score. This is keeping with the scenario of many of the previous Viking-Packer duels. And the kickoff is taken by Charles Jordan. Jordan breaks one and is pushed out of bounds, and in turn knocks an official down as well at the 47-yard line by Orlando Thomas. 33-yard return.
Nice job by Charles Jordan of reading his wedge. This is definitely a right return, and Charles Jordan knows it. So now he's going to get everybody down here, Yurkovich inside. Watch this wedge. They get together. The first thing it shows, plaster him. Nice job by Yurkovich, and then Jordan just spills him out to that quadrant and just take off and run. Watch Chris Walsh. Now you're supposed to be not held. They don't hold you. They just mug you.
First down on the 47 for the Packers. Good field position. Pass is caught by Jordan and stops the clock with 50 seconds remaining as the Packers try to get into at least field goal range.
You know, and speaking to Holmgren in preseason, and I asked him about his receivers and the offense. You know, boy, doesn't look too good for you guys. He said, not at all. He said, we're going to have the best receiving core that we've had here. We've got young guys who can play. All they need is an opportunity.
They're getting it. You see both teams have all 3 timeouts remaining. Second down and 1. Pass is caught by Jordan again. Lincoln Ingram and the fumble, and they say it was blown dead.
Boy, nice job inside by Edgar Bennett, the offensive line, of picking up the blitz. And that allowed Favre to have the time to be able to find Ingram. Watch the guys come up inside the offensive line. Here comes Del Rio. There comes Mincy. Right here, Edgar Bennett picks it up. And then on the other end, you're man for man. You know where your help is. It's up top. See how Ingram did right away? He gets past Fuller, goes right to the inside. There's no help in there. The inside of a field when you're in man coverage is a receiver's best friend.
Mark Ingram coming off his best game of the year with 4 catches against Detroit, 61 yards. Packers are calling a timeout. Their first. They will have a first down.
Remember I was talking to you about the chess match that was going on? Well, there was one. Tony Dungy went with the blitz, tried to get the pressure. Nicely picked up by Edgar Bennett. That allows the time for Favre. And then boom, ball comes right out.
154 yards through the air. Terry Bradshaw remarked in the pregame show that Favre had never thrown for 200 against Minnesota. First down on the 27 with 44 seconds on the clock. Hand off to Edgar Bennett. Bennett hit from behind and gets to the 20. Roderick Thomas. And a good gain on first down, but we're winding down to a half a minute to go, and the Packers in a hurry up now. They still have 2 timeouts left.
Bradshaw's kind of like Favre. Heck, Favre is Bradshaw with hair.
Favre breaking out of the pack, shuffles it to Bennett, and it's incomplete. Randall very nearly had him in his grasp. And it'll go as an incompleted pass, third down.
Remember I told you John Randall is still playing at that high level, and in fact in some instances I think he's playing even better. Now this guy is just non-stop motion. Now they're doubling him, they go outside. Here comes Favre rolling that way. He's right there. Now Henry Thomas is gone. John Randall is still here. Randall has upped his game. He needs the people around him to pick it up also.
Packers are already in field goal range. They have a third down and 3. Roll out. Favre throws it and nearly intercepted. That could have been disaster for the Packers. They had 1 defensive back in play and 1 out of bounds. Alfred Jackson.
He wanted
Orlando Thomas.
He wanted to throw that one away, and it didn't get out of bounds. He was lucky there.
So that'll bring 4th down, and Chris Jackie will come in to try to give the Packers another lead before intermission. There are 15 seconds remaining. This is a 38-yard attempt. He was wide his first time from 50 yards. Hendrick is the holder, and the kick booms forward, and the kick is no good. He's missed it this time to the right. So Jackie, who was 3 of 5 last week, is 0 for 2 today.
That one looked kind of like it was good, didn't it?
All the way until it went right.
There's a snap. The hold is down perfect. Jackie hits this one square. And the officials are standing right under that crossbar, so you have to see where it crosses. From that end zone picture, it looked like kind of went over, but
37-yard attempt. So he's missed 1 left and 1 right. And Boone will just take a knee to run out this first half. Well, that'll do it. And it's a tight, taut game, as you would expect, between these NFC Central Division rivals. And that's the end of the first half with the score: the Vikings 14 and the Packers 14. Stay tuned. Moments before the start of the third quarter here at Lambeau Field, the Vikings and the Packers are all tied at 14-14 in really what has been a tremendous battle royal in the NFC Central. The Bears, winning today, are now in first place. The Bucs lost. Packers can move into a tie for first with a win. Vikings want to get over 500. Lions lost to Washington. What do you make of this tight division race?
Well, I think it's the same as every other year. There's no real dominant team. I think some teams, though, are better than they've been. I think right now the Chicago Bear offense might be the best offense they've ever had there in Chicago. In Green Bay, I think Brett Favre is obviously a better quarterback than he's ever been, and they're trying to ride him. I think they're opening the offense up because of that. And then I think right now in Minnesota, they're still trying to find out what the heck they are.
And you know, this division, the Packers right now are playing the second week of 5 straight weeks against division opponents. In fact, it's unusual that Minnesota, of course, they're playing the Packers going against the Lions last week, Vikings this week, Lions next week, and then the Vikings before the Bears. So they've got a lot of division foes. It's been a passing game, Matt, today.
Yeah, it's been a passing game, and the Vikings have only rushed the ball 14 times. Smith got away in that one for about 25, 30 yards to inflate that rush yard. But you can see basically that the stats are equal, as is the score at 14 all. And it's what we expected.
Favre has thrown 5 more passes than Moon. They've completed the same amount, a lot more yards and 2 touchdowns. Vikings kicking off, and Charles Jordan returning the second half kickoff for Green Bay. And Brady makes the stop at the 24-yard line. So Brett Favre making his 52nd consecutive start. Steve Young had his broken at 55. There's a player down. A Packer is injured, and it's the backup tight end, Jeff Thomason, which is interesting, and only that Jeff Wilner, the 3rd tight end, was inactive today, waiting for Keith Jackson next week.
Yeah, Thomason is going to get drilled by Alapati 53. And they go in that wedge, and they're going to attack again, led by Jurkovic. Now look at Alapati. You see him right up there? He took on a block and then threw himself backwards into the wedge and hit Thomason right in the kisser. You know, you can try to regulate a lot of things out of football, but the violence is inherent.
Tight end from Oregon, still shaken up.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. Drivers wanted. By Warner Brothers' new motion picture, Copycat, starts Friday, October 27th at a theater near you. By Beechwood Aged Budweiser, the king of beers. This Bud's for you. And by Subway. What a sandwich.
Back here at Lambeau Field, Jeff Thomason, the injured Packer, still on the ground.
Watch, Thomason's going to come in, and here's the thing. See, this is things that happen away from the ball. Watch him right here. And Alapate took on a block earlier, and he's going to come flying in backwards. See that? Right into Thomason. Those are plays that aren't at the point. They're away from the ball, and that's just the nature of this game. There's no way you can ever get rid of that. There's going to be hits, and that's the way this game is played.
Mike Holmgren knows that if Thomason can't play, he's going to have to come up with a backup tight end. Right now, the only active one is the starter, Mark Shimura. Next week, the battles in the NFC Central continue, as well as other exciting games on the Fox NFL Sunday. Dallas Cowboys against the Atlanta Falcons. Deion Sanders expected to make his debut. The Packers and the Lions go at it at Pontiac.
I'll tell you, the game that'll be interesting there is Atlanta and Dallas. And here's the reason why. See, to beat the Dallas Cowboys, you have to throw the football. And that's where they've been vulnerable. And so now Deion Sanders comes back. I'll be interested to see how they make the adjustment for Deion Sanders. Do they stay in the 4 across that Jimmy Johnson put in there when he showed up? Do they go a little bit more man to free up the rest of their coverage? And if they don't, can you still attack the way you've been attacking, freezing your safeties? June Jones in that passing game with Metcalf, who we featured today on our show, really has come up big. Today they get another win, 24-20. That'll be interesting.
So what happened last time, Deion went back to Atlanta, the uniform of the 49ers last year, got into a little a punch out with Andre Rison.
Well, you're being
spectacular.
Kind. I didn't see one punch.
Well, they threw them anyway.
They slapped each other.
Keith Jackson, and maybe here for just the rest of the year. As he looked in the paper, he said, hey, the Packers look like they've got a winning team. Why don't I get on the bandwagon too?
Yeah, right.
Basically, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what he says, but that's a bunch of baloney.
First down on the 24-yard line for Brett Favre and the Packers. Favre's pass to Morgan, and he was covered by Fuller downfield.
Nice job by Fuller. Real nice job. It's good man coverage we're seeing today. You know, when they're running zones, they're pressing coming up, and now you're in man right here on Morgan. Watch Fuller stays with him, force him to the outside. Know that you have the boundary as your friend. When the receiver looks, you turn and look, but you just keep on running through. Very nicely done.
We talked about a passing game. Packers 28 passes, only 9 running plays. Bennett with 38 yards on 9 carries is their running contest. 2nd and 10. Again, they go to the air, and Brett Favre with some time, and the time breaks down, fumble, and the whistle had blown. So the Packers and Ken Rutgers makes the recovery, and Ed McDaniel and Derek Alexander in particular, #1 pick on the defensive line, put terrific pressure on Favre.
Well, the whole thing was set up by Broderick Thomas coming off the corner first, and he made Favre have to step up in the pocket, and then he allowed, by stepping up, Alexander to come from the inside. Watch come off the corner on the top of your screen. He forces them to come back up inside. Then Ed McDaniel comes along with Alexander and makes the play.
3rd and 15 on the 19-yard line. Favre looks one way, fires the other way, and falling is Anthony Morgan, and it's going to be 4th down. And the Vikings are looking at ideal field position, but first a penalty flag thrown.
Well, that flag is thrown. It might be a lineman downfield, but Roy Barker made that whole play.
Ineligible downfield. Number 76 on the pass. Penalty is refused. 4th down.
Yeah, they got Harry Galbraith running down there. And I think the reason it happened was because Roy Barker read the thing right away and went right to Morgan.
Craig Hendrick will kick from about the 5-yard line, and the Vikings could get the ball in Packer territory. Lee and Mincy back deep. End-over-end kick, and Mincy at the 42-yard line. Doesn't quite get to midfield, where the tackle is made by Keith Crawford, and the Minnesota Vikings have the ball.
Now here is where Warren Moon has been throwing the ball. Wide receivers hardly anything. Tight ends and running backs have gotten the bulk of it. Now the second half of this game has to be adjustment time, because the way the Packers are playing the Vikings, they're taking away the wideouts, which means the middle of the field has to be attacked. Look for the tight end to try to get to the middle.
Scotty Graham in the game for the first time in running back, number 31, and he gets the call up the middle and spins his way into Packer territory. John Yurkovich making the tackle after a gain of 3 yards.
Now here's what the Packers basically are doing defensively. This is called cover 2, where they're going to split the field in half. And what they're doing is they're taking these corners and they're going to walk them up. And then these safeties will play out into the halves, and they'll effectively split the field. You here and you here. And so this leaves the underneath or the tight end to be free. That's how you attack it.
2nd down, 7. Again, it's Graham. Graham's got very strong legs. He started the year in the opening game against the Bears at running back before Robert Smith ended his holdout and joined the club, and Dennis Green wanted to give Graham a chance to carry the ball, because against this particular defense he thinks that his straight ahead power could be advantageous. So he's in there now, and now he leaves the game.
Yeah, you don't get that though. When you say that and you give the reasons why, this is what we're going to do, we need power, and then you don't see him for a whole half. I don't get that.
3rd down and 5. Out of the shotgun is Warren Moon. Moon's pass is caught by Amp Lee. Lee, the former 49er, a very valuable receiver from the running back position, makes the play, 18 yards and a 1st down inside the Packer 30.
You know, Amp Lee kills me. You look at this guy and it was, the guy can't really run. And yet you get him in man coverage, and all he does is have a great sense of how to beat somebody. This time he's locked up on the backer, Simmons. Simmons tries to hold the inside to take it away. Heck, he lets him have the inside. He just goes outside.
He caught 10 passes, his regular season high last week against the Buccaneers. From the 28, Scotty Graham powers his way to the 24 and a gain of 4. Darius Holland and Yurkovich again.
Now remember, in the first half they had not been running that much to the right side for 2 reasons. Number 1 was 92 Reggie White. The other reason was you had Dixon 71 offensively, and Corey Stringer, 77 on that right side. And so now you bring the power back in, and you can run from tackle to tackle, including the right side, because you have the power at the back, running back position.
Remember Chris Hinton not playing with ankle and knee injuries in this game for Minnesota. Second down and 6, play fake, and the tight end, Andrew Jordan. And
nicely defensed. Yeah, Newsome did a real good job of being in that zone. Remember we showed you in that 2-deep look, in that cover 2, he's got to drop off. Now watch, he's going to stay up here and he's got to settle. And now he's going to come, Jordan's here and then back outside. He's got to read from here to back inside. And you have to close on this very quickly. See, he gets his jam, now he settles. See, there's the zone right outside. You settle out in that quadrant, and then you have to break on the ball. So your read goes from the wide receiver to back inside.
3rd and 6. Moon up the middle, and it's intercepted. Doug Evans. Ending the ball, and Evans is down. Another big interception for the Packers against Warren Moon. And Evans is having a brilliant game. That is the 2nd pickoff.
Evans was playing center field. He did a real good job of just hanging in the middle. And watch, it looks like he's going to be in man. He's going to come over here, and he's just going to settle right in the middle of the field. Watch 33. Watch 33 right there. See how he sets up? Absolutely perfect. See, now he's reading the wide receiver, and as he clears him into the backer, he frees to the middle. When he frees to the middle, you can read the quarterback perfectly. Moon doesn't see him because he's expecting him to keep running with that receiver, and there's the pickoff.
That is the 3rd career interception by Evans. And so coming in, the Packers had only 3 interceptions. They have 2 today, and there it was on the pass intended for Chris Carter. First down on the 37 of Green Bay, following the turnover. And the give is to Edgar Bennett, nothing doing. But I'll tell you one thing, and I think fans would be interested to know, if Bennett doesn't gain a lot of yards, the Packers still feel that they have a running game. Explain. Yeah, you have to. You have to at least keep on trying to run. Because if you give up even trying, even if you're only getting 1 or 2 yards, if you give up, you become one-dimensional. And if you're one-dimensional, you can load up on the pass. But as long as you keep on trying to run the football, you have to honor both. What's the toss, Dwayne? 2nd down and 10. Favre rolling out, and it's in and out of the hands of Brooks.
Boy, he's having a rough one today. That's the 3rd ball that he's dropped.
The word on Jeff Thomason, the tight end, is he has a concussion. Here is that last incomplete pass.
And then watch, he makes the break. He has Fuller up the field where he has to be. Come back to the ball. Got to hold on to that ball. I mean, up to this point in this game, Brooks has made all kinds of catches, and he's been very dependable. Today, he dropped the field.
But Shimura has picked up the slack. 3rd and 10. Favre. Let's see what they rule here.
They're going to give him the sack.
It should be a sack.
John Randall amazes me. I mean, you know that he's in there. Watch him inside. He just never stops working. Goes to the outside top shoulder. You beat him. Now he just keeps on coming. Doesn't keep, never stops. And maybe it was an incomplete pass.
Favre has had some amazing ways of getting rid of the ball, hasn't he, to avoid getting sacked today and trying to get it to a receiver. He's had a few shuffle passes, some downfield.
He has a little bit of Jim Plunkett in him as well. Plunkett used to do that all the time.
Pretty effective.
So you have a Bradshaw with hair who plays a little bit like Plunkett. It's a good combination.
Tell you got to talk about the physical being. I mean, that's really part of it. Hendrick will kick it away. And Ambley,
what a
there.
shot.
This is a brilliant kick. Sends Lee back to the 10. Penalty marker down on the Packer 40-yard line.
What a tackle by Travis Jury at the other end. You see that? He tried to fake him out of his jock, and Jury never went for it. He just went right to him.
53-yard punt, but the penalty marker, and we have an ineligible man downfield, so that's going to nullify a boomer by Hendrick.
Ineligible downfield on the kicking team, number 32. Be a 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
Why he made the play.
Yeah, no wonder he got down there so fast.
He does have great speed. What did Brett Favre say? 4.2. 4.2.
He's the fastest guy in this Packer team. In fact, he might be the fastest guy on the field. Now he's going to be right there with Ismail and those kind of guys who can flat out fly. Picked him up out of the Citadel. They put the clock on him. Nobody could believe it.
5th round pick. Hendrick will do it again. And Lee back to the 25-yard line. Tied at 14. No scoring yet in the second half. Another good kick. 2 in a row, and that sends Amp Lee back to the 15. Fantastic hang time. And speaking about hanging on, Mike Pryor hung on Amp Lee's foot. That was also a 53-yard kick, so he did it again after the penalty. A top secret assignment sends 5 cadets on a suicide mission. Get ready for an adventure with no boundaries and no limits. Space above and beyond. Catch a brand new episode tonight at 7, 6 Central on Fox. Well, some of these Packer fans may be from beyond as they've come from all over and filled up Lambeau Field. Temperatures started the day in the 40s, but the sun has come out after a couple of days of rain. Tie score at 14 and a first down for the Minnesota Vikings on their 18-yard line. Evans out of the backfield and is tackled by Simmons. Robert Smith has a sprained right ankle, and it's questionable as to whether he'll return. He has scored one of the 2 touchdowns for the Vikings and gained 56 yards on 11 carries. So Dennis Green thought that he would use Scotty Graham, and you were wondering why he didn't use him earlier, and that's why.
There's the reason, yeah. Scotty Graham kicked him in the ankle so he could get in the game.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, right.
2nd down and 6. Here's Graham. And they wrap him up. It'll be 3rd down and about 3. George Teague on the play.
Now, Chris Carter, when you look at this game, 1 catch today. And here's a guy who set the league record last year with like 122 or something like that. And now he's got 1 catch for 4 yards. So what are they doing? And they're rolling up to him. They're pressing him on the corners. Outstanding job by the corners, Newsome and Evans. And they've been keeping him at bay.
He only caught 4 last week, and that was the season's low. So these haven't been 2 productive weeks for Chris. 3rd down and 3. And the pass caught, first down to the tight end Adrian Cooper to keep the drive alive for the Minnesota Vikings.
You know, it almost looks like Warren Moon's not even looking over at Carter. That time he was man-to-man with McGill. And, you know, and that's a matchup that you'd think you'd want. An inexperienced guy on one of the league's premier receivers. But he came out, never even looked that way, just went right to the tight end right away.
First down on the 29 for Minnesota. They have won 5 of the last 6 games against the Packers. Green has that record against Holmgren. Moon's pass, and not turning around quick enough was Reed. It was nowhere near him. Right now, for a McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
Eric Metcalf continues to flourish in Atlanta. Take a look at this play crossing pattern from Jeff George. Metcalf, a performance worthy of an appearance at the Met. 62 yards to touchdown, and Atlanta upends Tampa Bay 24-21. Let's take it back to Dick Stockton.
2nd and 10 at the 29-yard line. Moon is gone deep and overthrows the tight end Cooper. That'll bring up 3rd down and long for the Minnesota Vikings. Warren Moon, 15 of 28, 115 yards. Last week against Tampa Bay, he established his season's high in attempts, yardage, and completions. But the red zone was a big problem. He did cash in on the red zone with the touchdown to bring the game tied at 14 before the half ended.
That rookie right there, Newsome, is playing outstanding right now. I mean, he's been matching up on Carter and Jake Reed. Their plan was to go after him. They've not found him.
3 wide receivers on 3rd and 10. Incomplete, going to Amp Lee. That'll bring up 4th down.
And I mentioned it in the first half, and then you expect something to be exploited. But Evans and Newsome right now are playing outstanding.
And Reggie White is putting on good pressure as well. And Sean Jones earlier in the half. I think this may be one of the better defensive efforts of the year for the Packers.
And keep in mind, they've not altered their defense. They're still playing that 4-cross and 2-deep look and leaving the majority of the pressure to their up front people.
Saxon to kick it. Jordan and Pryor back, and it's going to be Jordan's chance at the 20. And tackle from behind at the 30-yard line by Alfred Jackson. 51-yard kick that time. We'll be back.
Watch Dorsett 23 working on Chris Walsh 81. You get your jam, and then you got to keep on working, and you keep on fighting. And I'll tell you, Dorsett's taking some shots out there. Walsh just never quits. I'll tell you, special teams is about desire. Special teams is about never quitting. And then at the end, you know, you get your little bump and you kind of walk away because you both know you tried your best.
Stringer is hurting on the sidelines. 1st down on the 31. We've been raving about the Green Bay defense. Minnesota's defense in the second half has been terrific until now. Pass to Brooks. Finally caught up with one after dropping many. And a big gain. Dwayne Washington makes the stop 32 yards into Viking territory.
I want you to watch Brett Favre what he did. And then I want you to watch on the other end how you just run by your defender. You just get to the top shoulder, you wait for the ball. And on the front side of that, Brett Favre looked everybody off. And then he just got back, knew where Brooks was going to be, and threw it up there.
1st down on the 37. They run up another defender, and it's going to be a pass play. And here's Brooks again, and it's knocked away. Fine play. Mincy came in at the last minute. It was Corey Fuller as well. Good coverage in the secondary by the Vikings.
Well, they got some pressure up front. Again, John Randall breaking through. Watch him inside. Barker outside 92. Here comes Randall with the spin move on Galbraith. Galbraith never squared up on him. Gave up his inside. And then on the other end, Brooks run by. Fuller is playing pretty well. This kid's a good player.
Crowd feeling that Fuller had interfered with Brooks and the penalty marker should have been thrown.
Yeah, but this kid competes. And, you know, you're not going to see everything, I understand, but let him play. That kid is playing pretty good.
2nd and 10. Rolling out, going the other way on the screen to Bennett.
Nice call.
And a couple of blockers. And Bennett will have the 1st down for the Packers. He was wrestled down by Broderick Thomas about around the 25-yard line. Now this game summary is brought to you by Budweiser. Second half yards even, as is the score. Chris Carter limited to only 1 reception today, and Robert Smith, the leading rusher for the Vikings, out with a sprained ankle. Bennett comes out of the game, and LaShawn Johnson, who was activated this week.
25, 1st down.
There's Smith, the torn knee ligaments. He's got the best speed of any back.
Yeah, well, LaShawn Johnson will get the ball.
Johnson sweeping right. And the Vikings did a good job of penetrating, led by Corey Fuller.
Here's a little tip. Anytime you see 42, LaShawn Johnson in the game, it's for a reason. And he's the one running back that this Packer team has that has pure speed. And they want to break him in. And they want to get that foot speed out there. And what you can use it for is to stretch the defense and get to the corners.
Led the nation in rushing in his senior year in Northern Illinois in a 3rd-round draft pick. Gained 99 yards last year for the Packers. Lost 2 on that play. 2nd and 12, and Bennett back in. Fake draw play. Favre looking, firing to Shimura. What a catch by Shimura to the 5. That was picture perfect. 21 yards. Look at the 2 of them.
He's smiling, and for good reason. Favre sees the coverage and knows the safety has a long way to go. Once Shimura gets on top of the corner as he's rolled up, he's clear. And so the weakness of that thing is to the outside quadrant. Watch Shimura. See, Fuller's got a hold in that zone. You get on top of him. Safety goes back inside. One place to throw the ball, and then a great effort by Shimura.
1st and goal at the 5. A fake end around and a pass. Touchdown to Dorsey Levens.
That was another fine catch by Levens. The ball is thrown right where it has to be. Let your running back or receiver run right to it. And Levens just ran right in. That was perfect.
Third touchdown pass of the game by Brett Favre. He's got 15 on the year.
Watch Favre put this ball the only place it has to be. Go on the run. See that? Right to it. Just let the running back run right to it.
Last week, first career touchdown reception by Levens. And he gets his second right here. There's a penalty marker down after the point after by Jackie.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 90 offense, 5-yard penalty, retry the extra point.
Darius Holland in there on the extra point team. And you see all the great hitting that's going on today? Mark Ingram, I gotta tell you, that's the second big tackle he's made. Both of them on touchdowns to his teammates.
So Jackie will try again. This will be a 25-yard attempt. And the kick is perfect. And the score now, the Packers 21, the Vikings 14. And the reaction of Brett Favre, who has thrown 3 scores today. This one to Dorsey Levens to give Green Bay a 1-touchdown lead. Dorsey Levens, second year back from Georgia Tech, his second TD catch in as many weeks and his first of his career. Cap a 6-play, 69-yard drive, and the Packers in front 21-14. Mark Shimura with the most spectacular play with a 21-yard grab. So now the Vikings trying to go to work. They have never led in the game. And Andre Ismail on the return. He gets some open field. He's dangerous. But the Packers close in, but gets it to the 40 nonetheless. Doug Evans.
Watch this right here, and here's the coverage. Jack Del Rio, he's going to come through. Now, Del Rio's on an island. See, he has to respect the run, so he's going to come across. And then once you see that it's not a run, you're kind of caught. And they're also going to try to get a bump on him inside. See, they get the bump, and now right here he has to make a decision. It's too late. Levens runs right by him, and it's 6.
First down on the 40-yard line for Warren Moon and the Vikes. Now trailing again by a touchdown. Scotty Graham for a couple.
Hey, the one guy who's played pretty solid defensively for the Packers in the run game all year long has been Sean Jones, number 96. Now, they've been on him about his sacks not coming up, but this guy has always played good, solid run defense. He understands scheme, understands leverage, and he's very disciplined. He'll hold the backside.
Second down and 8. Moon going up on top. Ismail, the intended receiver. Covered downfield by George T. Newsom was there as well. By the way, Stussy, who was shaken up earlier, had x-rays on his shoulder, then came out of the game, and he's back in there. And Corey Stringer is out, and Rick Cunningham is in at right tackle.
You see Sean Jones on that left elbow. He's wearing a big brace. And see, that brace is because he dislocated his elbow. See that thing right there? It was when I was with the Raiders. He stuck his arm out, and I hit him in the thing, and it popped out.
That was nice.
He deserved it.
Third down and 8. Moon looking for a receiver. Throws it out of bounds. Fourth down.
And then you talk about Sean Jones on one side, but this guy 92 is getting all kinds of attention. Now he's been giving Stringer's fits, so they take him out. Look at this. He got 1, 2, 3 guys over there to take care of him. They tried to chip him with Rocket Ismail. Not Rocket, but the Missile Ismail. And then they kept a tackle and then also a guard over there just for good measure.
Moon has missed his last 5 passes. So Saxon will be kicking to Jordan and Pryor. Under 4 seconds for a hang time, and Jordan is hit immediately. That was superb coverage by the Minnesota Vikings. You know, Matt, it was interesting when we were talking with the Packers and with the 49ers being vulnerable last week and losing, home field advantage, at least for the first round of divisional playoffs, finally looms for someone maybe other than Dallas and San Francisco. I wonder how they feel now with the Niners beating the Rams so badly.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, that's something that you can talk about. You say, boy, that would be nice. But I know the focus of this group. And in fact, I've been impressed with the focus of the group of the Packers, because it's not like they're talking about all that stuff on the periphery. They've been focused about what is the task at hand.
First down on the 18. And they give us to Edgar Bennett. Good cut inside, up the middle by Bennett, and he picks up about 5 or 6. Asera Tuaolo, who was a Green Bay Packer draft pick back in '91, now with the Vikings, making his first tackle.
Yeah, I think when you look at this Packer offense, one thing has to be said. So much is talked about that, you know, San Francisco West Coast thing and, you know, throwing underneath. Brett Favre with this offense will throw the ball down the field. And that's the difference with this as opposed to other ones, because he's not afraid to let that thing fly.
2nd and 3, Favre. No receivers, runs, may have the first down. Randall got him from behind. He's having a good time out there. Huh?
Yeah, he is. You know, that's the difference in him. You know, you can see when he's going to get pressure like he has right here. You know, you can see sacked twice. He's been hurried. You know, John Randall's been on him a lot. Barker's coming off the corner. Harrison sometimes. But the difference is what he learned, he told us yesterday, is he said, now I won't get up there and cuss at him. He said, I won't get up there and say you were lucky, muckety muck, whatever it is. Now he gets up and he says, good job. Has a smile on his face. And he said, you know, I think they hate that more.
It is a first down. Favre got the necessary yardage. He has completed 16 of 35 for 226 yards and has thrown 3 touchdowns against Dennis Green's defense. The first time in his career he's gone over the 200-yard passing mark against the Vikings.
You know, it just goes back to what we said at the start of the game. He's a better football player. And what Reggie White told us. It's his turn in the barrel. Let's ride his shoulders.
First down on the 29. Favre's pass. Fine catch made. And now they rule it incomplete. Ingram had it and lost it.
Well, I tell you, well, you watch Favre right there. They walk the safety up. They roll to his right. They see the 3 deep. He looks to the right. Now watch, the safety comes up. They go here, here, and here. He's going to look to this side to pull the safety, and then he throws right back here. You know, that's stuff that is in command of your offense. That's stuff that you can talk about, you try to teach, but it's hard to do. That ball's right where it has to be. I mean, that's the 4th drop that should have been caught.
Draw play to Bennett, and nothing doing. You know, Matt, earlier you said that no team has really asserted itself in the NFC Central, but if quarterback is an important position, it's very possible that Favre, the way he is emerging, could be the best quarterback in the division, and that could be enough to put Green Bay over the top.
I completely agree with you. I think that's a great point there. And I think the other guy you have to look at is Eric Kramer. Eric Kramer is playing the best football of his life. And the Chicago Bear offense right now is the best it's ever been. So you get Favre and Kramer could be the 2 guys that take their teams and make the definitive move.
3rd down passing, came into the game having a brilliant year, leading everybody. Not so effective this time on 3rd down.
Well, keep in mind, 2 of those 3rd down passes were dropped.
True.
It's true. It's true. Madeline Kahn. I love her.
I want to know what he says muckety muck to those opponents. I want to know how he does that.
That's as good as I could have kept it, you know. Could have given him a Daffy Duck. Rissin Raff.
3rd down and 9 from the 30 with 4 wide receivers. Short drop, pass complete to Charles Jordan. Fumble, and a fumble, and it's picked up by the Vikings. And Corey Fuller has it, and he slips.
Holy smokes, curly move.
Tell you what, they're playing on ice. Seems that way.
That's a fumble all the way.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to get it, and they're going to get it in good field position.
Now you're going to have a little conference over here. Jordan's saying that he was down.
Remember, there was a whistle.
Yeah, and remember, the ground can cause the fumble.
The big question is, was there a whistle?
Or was he down and did the ground cause the fumble? Whistle or not. Now, once he's hit and he's down, and the ball pops out from the ground, it doesn't matter.
I think the Packers.
You're going to watch Jordan. He's going to go down inside. Now, there's the ball. It comes down. Now he's hit. Now he's down.
Fumble.
That's a fumble all the way.
That's a fumble.
Ruling on the field is that the receiver was down by contact. First down.
Wrong again. If Rafiki was here, he would say that very thing.
I think those guys in striped shirts are 2 for 2 today the other way.
Yeah,
right?
you're exactly right. You know, and this is a judgment call, so you're down there, you're looking all the way. Watch Jordan. He's going to get hit. He's going down. He's still not down. Still not down. In comes Orlando Thomas, strips the ball. Ball's coming out on a nice job.
And Favre trying to do his part to help the officials.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to get out there and argue your case.
Well, he did successfully.
A barrister.
If there ever was one. First down on the 45. Edgar Bennett off the left side breaks one into Viking territory. And a first down, a gain of 12. Mincy and on Thomas. Under a half a minute to go in the third quarter.
He's going to watch it. They're going to come up on the blitz. Ed McDaniel, they pick the blitz up perfectly, and then Bennett just uses his feet. And I got to be honest with you, Bennett is still not 100%. Spoke with him before the game. He says, I'm getting there. And if this is getting there, when he gets to that point, it's going to be that much better.
Edgar Bennett's numbers today. Last week gained 77 yards and scored a touchdown. And the clock runs down, and that is the end of the third quarter. With the score, the Vikings trailing the Packers 21-14, and Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages from your local Fox station. Want to remind you, next week on Fox NFL Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys against the Atlanta Falcons. Deion Sanders in his first game in uniform of the Cowboys. And other games we'll tell you about. First down on the 43 as we start the fourth quarter. Brett Favre with a screen pass to Dorsey Levens. Levens has a first down, and he's hit by Thomas from behind. First down for the Packers. Again, the schedule for the games next week on Fox. Dallas and Atlanta. Rams against Philadelphia. In the late games, Packers and Lions. Saints and 49ers. Tampa Bay will try to rebound against the Houston Oilers, who were losers to the Bears at Soldier Field today. First down on the 31 of Minnesota. The Packers leading 21-14. Dick Stockton and Matt Miller. Hand off to Bennett. Edgar Bennett, bad ankle and all, gets another first down inside the 20 before Ed McDaniel stops him.
Well, I'll tell you, there's some great feet right there. I mean, that looks like the old Barry Sanders feet down below. You see him, he knows where he wants to go. This is pure instinct. Stuff you can't teach. Just let the thing go. Here comes one guy. All right, you're going there. I'm going out here. He just run away from people. And then Robert Brooks, did you see him come flying in there on the other side? You know, he knows he's got to do his part. He gets in there. He just gets waxed.
All at the 19 of the Vikings. Packers are driving. Favre slipped a bit. And now he's down a bit.
Nice coverage.
Sack made by number 99, James Harris.
Well, they went on a 3-receiver route right there. Corey Fuller and Orlando Thomas was all over Brooks.
And a penalty marker apparently was thrown, and it may be against the Vikings.
Holding. Defense. Number 20. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Well, he was locked up on Ingram, number 82. And they're going to say Dwayne Washington, you can see him right down here, is going to get the hold. He gets the jam. You have 5 yards to do that. You know, to me, you know, if you're going to let the guys play the whole game, you can't get picky now.
Ball the Vikings 14. First down.
First down on the 14. Following the penalty, big break for the Packers. Here's Edgar Bennett again. And he gets to the 13-yard line to Olo and Thomas.
Yeah, now Brett Favre, one of the other parts he did talk about with his maturity is where he's throwing the football. You can see we talked about that West Coast offense and throwing it down the field. Now the majority is going to be up here. But see, he's not afraid to throw it down the field. And these are the ones that were complete. Don't forget there were others that were thrown that were incomplete.
Big target today, Mark Shimura, the tight end, who has caught 4 passes for nearly 80 yards. 10th play of the drive coming up here. Favre flips it to Bennett. Bennett broke a tackle and gets to the 6-yard line, short of the first down by about 2 yards or so. Ed McDaniel that time on the stop.
I got to tell you, the Packers have the Vikings off balance right now. And the Minnesota Vikings generally are playing zone, and then Tony Dungy, the defensive coordinator, is trying to take some shots. Every now and then he'll throw in a blitz, try to disrupt the timing, and Favre has been up to the task. He's seen everything. They've come with blitzes. They tried to run outside. They've been doing a real good job. See right there, there's Tony Dungy right there, locked in a mind game with Mike Holmgren. One right now that Holmgren is winning.
Packers have won 11 of the last 12 regular season games here at Lambeau Field. Leading here, 3rd down and 2. Favre looking for the target. Touchdown, Edgar Bennett. Number 4, and Favre has thrown touchdown passes in each of the 4 quarters of this game.
Edgar Bennett went in motion. The Vikings stretched their defense, but they never saw him. He just went and sat right down. You can see him right here. He just went and sat right down in the zone. They caught him in between. It almost looks like McDaniel didn't know whether he was in zone or in man. He started to run with the motion, and he came off of it.
And the 4 touchdown passes ties Brett Favre's career high, as Chris Jackie is perfect with the extra point. Edgar Bennett. Last week, Edgar Bennett had 148 yards total in receiving and rushing, having another good day today.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Cadillac and your Cadillac dealer, creating a higher standard. By Black & Decker, it's how things get done. By McDonald's, the official restaurant of the National Football League. And by Hager, 100% cotton, wrinkle-free pants and shirts.
Cheesehead's delight here in Green Bay. Packers lead 28-14. A lot of time remaining in this 4th quarter. Pentra kicking off to Ismail and Lee, the Vikings, and it's picked up by Walsh. And he drags it out close to the 35.
What they did right here, they're going to go in motion. Now these 2 backers have to slide. These 2 are responsible for these 2. It looks like they're going zone on the top and man underneath. And what happens is McDaniel gets caught in that gray area. And this is how you attack this kind of a thing. So you got to make sure. See, he's got to push. Which one do you take? Make him make a decision. If he jumps up and this backer can't get over, boom, you throw it to him and it's 6.
First down on the 35-yard line. Moon, penalty flag down, and Warren Moon flips it at the last moment to Amp Lee, and Lee carries it out to the 42-yard line. Today, the Packers have been perfect. 4 chances in the red zone, 4 touchdowns, and all 4 of them have been passes from Brett Favre.
Illegal formation on the offensive team. Number 71 was lined up in the backfield.
Well,
5-yard penalty.
Yeah, you know what that is, Dick? That is called being afraid of Reggie White. Now you know you're going to line up over the guy, and you're going to have to pass block him, and David Dixon knows that, so he just takes that little bit of extra step backwards, so Reggie White doesn't get on top of him. That's an illegal formation.
David Dixon moved from right guard to right tackle, and Everett Lindsey moved into the right guard position. First down and 15 from the 30-yard line, so Cunningham is out. Stringer was injured earlier. He hasn't been back. Warren Moon passes, and it's dropped. It was going for Andrew Jordan, the tight end.
Hey, you know, I got to be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised with what they're doing with Reggie White. They're going to leave David Dixon. all alone with Reggie White. They don't get a bump on with the tight end. They don't keep a back in the backfield. And you know what? Dixon does a good job. He comes off the corner, pushes him up the field. But if they continue to do that, that's a mistake because Reggie White will exploit that.
Well, the Vikings have had to make a lot of adjustments with Hinton out and other people injured on the right side of their offensive line today, and it's got to affect them. 2nd and 15. And let's see if we have an encroachment call against the Packers. Packers feel otherwise. Rarely does now we have a couple of players, Fred Strickland, Adrian Cooper, going at it. Rarely does Fritz Shermer's defensive units blitz. We haven't seen that today from the Packers.
And there's no need to when you're up by 14. All you do is you let the Vikings make their own mistakes and you just let them come to you.
Prior to the snap, false start, 61 offense, 5-yard penalty.
That was
still
Lindsey,
2nd down.
who just came in the game.
Yeah, Everett Lindsey, number 61. Watch him right there. He's working over Darius Holland, number 90. You see, this guy comes up, and that makes him just a little bit too nervous.
Right now, you talked about how the Vikings defense on their heels in the last drive. Right now, their offense is very unsettled with the offensive line really unable to be together.
They're out of sync offensively and defensively.
2nd down and 20. Chase and loses the ball, and we're going to have a touchdown. Sean Jones. Reggie White put the pressure on Moon, and Jones picks it up for the fumble recovery and the touchdown for Green Bay.
Dick, didn't I just say if you don't adjust and leave him out there by himself, Reggie White will take advantage of it?
You just said it.
He just scored 6 points. They were going to try to go to a screen, and they left Dixon out there all by himself. And when the coverage took him away, watch how he just powers him. See, he tries to look right here. And you know what? Darius Holland made that play. Reggie White blew right by Dixon. Holland hung on the running back. Sack, fumble, Sean Jones 6.
Crowd is loving it here at Lambeau Field. First career touchdown, and the point after is good, and it is 35-14 in favor of the Packers as they're rolling away from the Vikings.
Look out, here comes Reggie White.
Years in the league, this is his first touchdown. The Green Bay Packers, after a 14-14 tie at the half, have outscored the Vikings 21-0 here in the second half, with 11:03 remaining in the fourth quarter. And Hendrick kicking off deep, and Padre Ismail will fall on it in the end zone finally for a touchback. This is an amazing devastation by the Packers against a team that has handled them 5 of the last 6. But more than that, these teams have played nothing but close games, and Reggie White has set an emphatic tone today defensively.
Absolutely. And I'm a little disappointed with the way the Vikings have not adjusted. They haven't chipped on him enough. They haven't kept the back over there nor slid to him, and they put their tackles on an island against Reggie White.
First down on the 20-yard line. Rick Cunningham back in the game. At right tackle. Moon completes the pass to Adrian Cooper. He had missed his last 6 passes before that completion.
Now look, I want to tell you, David Dixon's over there, and they're saying, he beat David Dixon. But actually, Dixon did a pretty good job. The only reason that this thing works is because of Darius Holland. Watch the running back, Scotty Graham. Reggie White's going to come up off the side, and then Holland is going to jump right here. Watch Holland here, and he's going to jump right there. See, as soon as he takes the coverage, Moon can't throw the football to him, and that allows Reggie White to make the play. So really credit Darius Holland on that play.
Second and 6. Intended for Amp Lee, and it was Leroy Butler right in front of Lee. Well, this has been a passing game, as we said from the outset, and Brett Favre, with 4 touchdown passes, has thrown for 255 yards. Moon, who has thrown 2 interceptions, has thrown for 81 yards.
Well, right now, I mean, total yards, Minnesota is under 200. In fact, I think they're under 170. And right now, the Packers are well over 300. So the name of the game today in Green Bay has been the defense.
Third and 6. Moon's pass nowhere near Carter, who has caught only 1 today. Remember, these 2 teams play in a couple of weeks again at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Fourth down, and Saxon in to kick it away, and Amp Lee, or check that, Jordan and Pryor back deep. Holland, the rookie from Colorado. He's going to be a terrific defensive lineman from the looks of things. Mike Pryor on the return. And he is stopped just about the 40-yard line by Scotty Graham. What a glorious day for Reggie White today. Green Bay's upcoming schedule, I don't think it's ever happened before that a team has played 2 teams in a month. The Packers played Detroit last week. They got the Vikings today. Then they go to Detroit, and then they go at Minnesota. I don't think that's ever happened like that.
Yeah, and then you can see the next 5. It's almost as if the schedule maker had a stuttering prompt. Detroit, Minnesota, Detroit, Minnesota. But you can see this one here is going to be 3 and 4. But you know what? You can erase this and this, and you can erase this and this. Because these teams, it doesn't matter when they play. What the heck goes on with those records? These games are always amazing. This is the first one, I think, since these 2 coaches played, that it's gotten out of hand.
They're all competitive and they're all good, and someone's going to win a division, and you may have as many teams in the playoffs again from the Central. First and 10 from the 40-yard line. Edgar Bennett running and will lose yardage. Roderick Thomas with a loss of 4. Last time the Green Bay Packers scored 35 points or more against the Minnesota Vikings, you have to go back to 1984. That's how long it's been. Vikings have always been proudful of their defense, and their defense has made the difference. In fact, in their wins over the Packers, big plays by Tony Dungy's defense, getting big plays, and won those games.
Well, I got news for you. It's going to be a completely different game in the rug, in the dome, when the next time they play.
I think it's going to be a bit more there. Second and 14, Dorsey Levens, and a loss that time. That was Ed McDaniel on the tackle. And right now, for a McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
Ken Norton delivered a 1-2 punch today against the Rams. This is the first of 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns. San Francisco had no problems with St. Louis, routing them 44-10. Right now, let's take you back to Dick Stockton and Matt Miller.
Like Ken Norton thought he was Vi Sikahema right there. Remember a few years ago?
Yes, he did. That's Darius Holland.
You know, our director, Artie Kempner, says you never really experience Green Bay until you can see your own breath. I disagree. You never experience Green Bay until you see the steam coming off your dome.
I don't think Darius Holland saw that. Penalty. Delay of the game called against the Packers, and they're content to just use up the clock and run the ball, even if it means giving up yardage. It'll be 3rd down and 24.
Well, remember, if you watched our pregame show, which I'm sure you did, you heard Howie Long say that Green Bay was going to open it up and call this game a little bit more by the seat of their pants. I think you saw that today. And you couple that with the way they play defense, that's given them the 35 points.
3rd down, Dorsey Levens.
Well, you can hear the pride. Did you hear that shot? That's called pride. Jack Del Rio has pride. Ed McDaniel has pride. John Randall has pride. Those guys, you know, you may beat them on the scoreboard, but they know it's a long season, and you got to come see them again.
Vikings lost in overtime last week to Tampa Bay. their third overtime game of the year. Now they are headed for a loss here in Green Bay. We'll take a look at their schedule soon, and you're right, I think in 2 weeks it's a totally different game. Hendricks kick to Ant Lee. And Lee gets close to midfield with 7:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. That's Corey Stringer, who was hurt. Back here at Lambeau Field, Dick Stockton and Matt Millen. 7:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Packers way in front of Minnesota. Coming up next, Space Above and Beyond on these Fox stations. New quarterback will be Brad Johnson, so Warren Moon will take the rest of the late afternoon off. Johnson was the 9th pick.
Brad Johnson, now quarterback.
There's Moon, who completed 16 of 35 for 119 yards, sacked 3 times, 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown. Ball is at the 49-yard line of the Vikings. Johnson's pass is caught by Chris Carter, only his 2nd reception of the game. Moon with 2 interceptions, 1 set up a touchdown, and fumbled as well, and that resulted in the touchdown by Sean Jones.
You know, so some people are going to say, hey, you know, he's going to be 39 years old. You know, he's old. He's not the same quarterback that he was. You can't pin that on Warren Moon today because he got a lot of pressure. I mean, heck, 10 pressures just from Reggie White alone.
2nd and 8. Johnson's pass is caught by Carter. Chris Carter inside the 20-yard line.
You know, I wanted to say right prior to that play, here's what the Vikings have to do to win. They have to score right now. They've got to get a big play. And here, there is the big play. And then you have to hold them and then come right back again. You still have enough time, 6.5 minutes to go, but you have to throw the ball down the field. That time, Brad Johnson did.
One of the Packers is shaken up. So the clock stops, 6:25. Take a look now at the Vikings' upcoming schedule. They'll have the Bears on a Monday night game, and then the Packers in Minneapolis. They'll be loaded for not Bear, but Packer then. And then you see their schedule, and they've got the Lions on the road, and that's Thanksgiving Day. So they got a Monday night game and a Thanksgiving Thursday game against Detroit. Craig Newsome is the injured Packer. There are the scores, and Washington finally wins a close game, beating Detroit. Carolina, tell you, these expansion clubs, obviously the best we've seen. Bears win, and right now they're in first place, and if the Packers hold up, they'll be joined by Green Bay for the division lead at 5-2, with Tampa Bay having lost. Kansas City lead over Denver.
Kansas City is the best average team I've watched all year.
That's a good way of putting it. Oakland over Indianapolis. We saw the Colts last week and were obviously impressed with their win over the 49ers.
And not necessarily with their offense as much as their defense.
Lenny McGill replaces Newsome in the secondary. 1st and 10 on the 12-yard line. And the handoff to Scotty Graham. He gets to the 10.
You know, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings right now and I'm offensive coordinator Brian Billett, I just open it up. Heck, you need 3 touchdowns. You have a little under 6 minutes to go. Throw the ball to the end zone. You got to score. Yeah, you got to score, and you have to hold them. But the more time you waste, the less you have to work with on the back end if everything goes right.
2nd down and 9 from the 11-yard line. Johnson's pass to Walsh, and he's out of bounds at about the 1-yard line. Maybe get to 2.5.
At that time, they used Chris Carter to clear. And knowing that he's going to draw the coverage, and then they bring Walsh across in motion to fill that void down in the quadrant. The most important thing there, he gets out of bounds and stops the clock.
Craig Newsome returned to the game for the Packers. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Vikings.
Yeah, and you got 2 downs here. And a 3rd down doesn't really make that much of a difference.
3rd down and 1 for the 1st down. And here's Ant Lee, touchdown.
They had to do it. They're right on schedule. That's a big score right there. You get 5 minutes and 13 seconds left to go. You came out, you scored right away. Now you have to play good defense and stop them and get another quick score.
Remember, the Vikings have 3 timeouts left plus the 2-minute clock. So they've got a lot of things going for them. And of course, you always have the onside kick if it comes down to that. So that's plenty of time. And what happened here is that the Packers, with the 3-touchdown lead, kind of softened up a little bit.
They felt a little bit too good about themselves. Brad Johnson came in there, heck, we got the backup quarterback. Boom, nice big play to Chris Carter and opens up the score.
Juan Reves with the point after is good. And now it's a 2-touchdown lead for Green Bay.
And a nice call by Billick with the trap inside. And there goes Lee. He's just going to take his step, draw the defense over, and then cut back. Remember, you're seeing that all the time. Sean Jones went flying by, had his shot, missed him. And then Lee just picks his spots.
Today's game was produced by Richard Zients and directed by Artie Kempner. The associate director was Michael Frank. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And a special thanks to our technical director, Joe Abenda, and our audio supervisor, Fred Aldis. Dean Walker's crew has done a terrific job with the sound and the pictures today to bring you this telecast.
Almost as if that crew should have themselves a good cigar for doing such a good job.
That's right. Celebrate and really relax after the game. And our thanks up here to Chris Visser, our spotter, and Dave Forrest, our statistician as well.
On the other hand, while everybody in the technical crew is celebrating, this group better be careful, because they're going to try an onside kick right now. So you roll the dice. I like this. And so even if you don't get it, you shut them down right here, you got yourself a chance again.
Success rate in the NFL is 23%.
So you got a 1 in 4 shot of doing it.
You don't think it's too early to do this?
Well, I mean, it's one thing or another. You know, you get your hands team out there. You either stop them way down there. It still comes down to your defense and having to stop them. So you either take your shot here and try to get it. Your defense still has to stop, or you kick it off and your defense has to stop.
You get bad field position, you can kiss the game away.
Yeah, you can, but you have to gamble. You're still down by 2 scores with 5 minutes. So, I mean, obviously, the Vikings think this is the time to do it.
Onside kick is recovered by the Packers. And it was Marcus Wilson who made the recovery. The only thing about this onside kick, and this is not a second guess because we brought it up before the kick, is that you have 3 timeouts remaining. You can use at least 2 of them, stop the other team, get good field position, get a touchdown, then worry about this. And I think what you're saying is, you know, now we've thrown it all into this one play and we haven't done it. And that may be it. And 5:08's a lot of time. Want to remind you, at the end of this game, Matt and I will select the Miller Lite player of the game.
Well, now you got to play defense. You're going to stop them. You're going to probably play an 8-man front, expecting the run to try to take the time off the clock.
First down on the 36 of the Vikings. Here comes the blitz and a handoff to Edgar Bennett.
Yeah, this is nice. They did exactly that. They walked that safety up. Harlan Barnett comes up, gives him the 8-man front, anticipating the run to take the time. And you're playing percentages. Watch the safety. He's going to walk right up. Going to have 8 men up here, and you're daring them to run right at you. Now you give your 3-deep look. Everybody in a gap. There's always going to be a free man, and it's the safety. In this instance, he makes the play.
Tony Dungy trying to figure out a way. 2nd down and 9. Here comes the blitz again. Far downfield, and it's incomplete.
Hey, a roll of the dice right now. Dungy comes up big twice. He's got snake eyes on 2nd down. He sets up 3rd and long. Plus, you got the pressure and you stop the clock with an incomplete pass. So far, so good if you're the Minnesota Vikings. DeFar just threw that one away. I mean, he just threw it and kind of ducked. So now a big 3rd down. I mean, right now for this game to have a chance, the Vikings have to win this down.
3rd down and 9. They have most of their backups in there now defensively. The ball at the 35-yard line. Dump it off to Edgar Bennett. Bennett down to the 29-yard line. Robert Griffith and Jeff Brady make the tackle. Well, this is in field goal range, and now the Vikings are going to call a timeout with 4:13 to go. It'll be 4th down.
I'll tell you what, this one's far from over.
And a timeout will leave Minnesota with 2 left. Vikings have used their first timeout. It is a 2-touchdown lead. Green and Holmgren, once assistants under Bill Walsh in San Francisco. Green has had the edge, winning 5 out of 6 previous games, but Holmgren's Packers lead, and now they're going for it on 4th down and 3.
This is big.
This would clinch the game if the Packers would get a first down. Favre's pass is caught by Shimura inside the 10-yard line, close to the 5.
How appropriate is that? Chewy Shimura,
as he is known,
Brett Favre's running buddy, who had the big game early to open this thing up. When the game is on the line, Favre stayed right with him. He saw the coverage. He knew exactly where he wanted to go with that ball. Shimura gets open, beats the linebacker, and Favre finds it.
Shimura has caught 5 passes for 101 yards. First time in his career he has gone over 100 yards. And Keith Jackson is watching this from the sideline. He's seeing what the first-string tight end is doing this year. 1st and goal from the 6. And the give is to Edgar Bennett. Well, Dennis Green rolled the dice. He decided to go for the onside kick with 5+ minutes to go, and Bennett slowly getting up, and his team down by 2 touchdowns. He didn't get the onside kick, and on a short field, Brett Favre has brought the Packers to within a 2nd and goal situation, and that's the game. So he rolled the dice to win or lose at that point instead of using the timeouts and kicking it deep.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 ways to look at that. You know, I agree with you. He has field position here. On the other hand, he just runs the clock out at the other end of the field.
2nd and goal from the 2. It'll be 3rd down and goal as Bennett carries. Brady on the tackle. Winding down to 3 minutes remaining.
Brett Favre turns in a really nice game. Has the 4 touchdown passes. Shows his leadership, the poise that we talked about. Really the difference in the Packers this year. Brett Favre, 300-yard passing day. And then the other guy, Shimura, really stepping up. You know, you bring in Jackson, comes in, everybody talks about him. Shimura goes about his business. 100 yards, a career high, 5 catches.
3rd and goal from the 3, and that's only the offensive story. Favre runs out of bounds, wasn't going to risk throwing the ball. Roy Barker chased him, and the clock stops with 2:35 to go, and Jackie will come on to try a chip shot, although it hasn't been easy for Chris today. He has missed 2 of his previous field goals.
Yeah, he had a rotten day.
Jackie has missed from 50 and 37 yards. This will be considerably closer, 26 yards. And the kick is good, and the Packers now lead it 38-21. Well, the Packers have been successful on all of their scoring drives inside the red zone, and all the touchdown passes by Favre were short passes. 12, 5, 5, and 6 today. Well, he's always been a man's man, but tonight something's come over Al Bundy. Has he been leading a double life? Find out on a brand new episode of Married with Children tonight at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
I'm sure much will be talked about with that onside kick at that time. And, you know, I just got to say, from the Minnesota Vikings point of view, you roll the dice and you take a shot. You know you have to get 2 more scores. So maybe they just feel at that point that you got to take it then.
Denny Green has been in the trenches a long time as a head coach, and that's what a head coach gets. He gets second guessed, although some people first guess this one. Whatever it is, it's 38-21. The Packers really playing one of their better games of the season, if not their best. Kickoff is returned by Amp Lee.
4-yard lead right in the middle of the field. Boy, that was nice.
Well, the Miller Lite player of the game is Mark Shimura of the Packers with a career-high 101 yards on 5 catches. You know, Brett Favre with a career-tying 4 scores. Reggie White with a sensational game today, but Shimura made big plays on the receiving end.
When you had to make them. Yeah, absolutely. At the big time. You know, Reggie White had the big day defensively. Both the corners played outstanding. Evans, Newsome, they deserve some consideration, but Shimura really came through when he had to.
First down on the 38, Brad Johnson. The relief quarterback for Warren Moon gets it out to Adrian Cooper. And that may be our last play prior to the 2-minute warning, although the Vikings are lining up in a hurry.
Almost like it's their hurry-up offense, huh?
Something like that. They get the play off. 2nd and 3. Chris Carter will step out of bounds, and we'll have the 2-minute warning. 1:57 showing. 38-21 Green Bay. We'll be back.
Mark Shimura, you're the Miller Lite player of the game. How do you feel about that? I think that's great.
Not quite the way the Miller people would have liked it, I think.
Yeah.
You know what? He can do whatever he wants.
Absolutely. He's just getting ready for Halloween. Just think this guy's going to show up tomorrow with that cheese tie dressed like that.
I've seen that tie before.
Yeah, I think it's in your bag. You should have worn it today.
My wife suggested it, and I might have.
And you know, Leslie has great instincts.
She does. 1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. Brad Johnson goes out to Walsh. And Walsh out of bounds, stops the clock at 1:50. Doug Evans covering. Vikings still have 2 timeouts remaining. They need 3 touchdowns.
You know, Ron Wolf, the general manager of the Green Bay Packers, a couple years ago, he drafted Terrell Buckley on the corner. And I thought he was going to be a real good player. Thought he secured that position for a long time. You know, he flopped. And now Newsome, 21, is the #1 pick this year. And I think they got themselves a winner because he's held up very, very well in the corner. Not only today, but all through the season.
2nd down and 1. And the pass is incomplete. They were going to Carter again, and it was Doug Evans, who's had a tremendous game. Both corners for the Packers have played as well as you could.
They really have. I mean, consider the kind of defense that they're playing. And they're going with that 2 deep or 4 across look. And what they've done is they've asked those corners to be physical up front, get a good jam on Jake Reed and Chris Carter, and then play down the field. And both these guys have been outstanding today. And when you can have corner play like that, that really helps your up front rush. And today, Reggie White had the big day. Sean Jones coming off the corner. Darius Holland makes a play. Good defense. Maybe the best defense the Packers have played all season.
3rd and 1, and the pass is ruled incomplete, bringing up 4th down. Adrian Cooper, the intended receiver. Well, if the Packers go on and hold this lead, they will go 3-0 in the NFC Central and 4-2 in the conference. The Vikings would be 1-3 in the division and 2-3 in the NFC, and that is what makes these games coming up against the Bears and the Packers for the Vikings really critical games, man.
Yeah, and the best thing that the Packers can do coming out of this game is learn to forget. They better forget this thing by tomorrow, because in 2 weeks they're going to play an angry Minnesota Vikings team in Minnesota, and it's going to be a completely different football game.
I believe you're right. I think it'll be totally unlike this game. No matter who wins, I think you'll see totally different plays, because these teams, basically, coaches know each other.
Yeah, and on top of that, the Minnesota Vikings are going to be healthy. And because Chris Hinton is going to come back. And when Hinton comes back, now you got an inside 3 who has some power, and you have confidence in it. And that will make a huge difference in the running game. Remember, early in this game, the Vikings came out, all he did was throw. In the first half, they only ran the ball 14 times. When you have to rely completely on the pass, you get one-dimensional, you can be defensed easily.
Timeout called by the Vikings. Remember, you can never count out Minnesota. I mean, they have won 2 division titles and 1 second-place finish in Dennis Green's 3-year helm. The Packers have been 9-7 3 years under Mike Holmgren, making the playoffs twice.
A lot of good football players. And there's a lot of good football left in front of that kid, Corey Stringer. He's got a chance to be pretty good.
First down on the 34-yard line with a minute and a half to go. To Chris Walsh. Vikings have one time.
There's Corey Stringer. Sees. Had a rough day today.
Brad Johnson up the middle, and the pass is caught by Amp Lee with under a minute to go.
Corey Fuller, 27. You know, they talked about him spitting last week. You know what I thought was funny? You know, you can get fined by the league, and guys say, who cares? You can apologize to teammates, apologize to opposition. But when you get a phone call from your mother saying what you did, that is where the buck stops. And Corey Fuller got a call from his mom last Monday at 5:30 in the morning and said, did you do this? I know you wouldn't do it. And he had to answer to mom, and that is the end all right there.
That was a call he didn't want to receive.
Absolutely. I remember times you get into fights, something like that, and my mom would call me, and boy, you sheepishly answer that thing.
Carter on the reception, first down with 41 seconds remaining. But the Packers are going to win this game and go 5-2, their best start in 13 years. Want to remind you, coming up, Space Above and Beyond on these Fox stations. Now the Vikings have used their last timeout with 30 seconds on the clock. So the Packers, with a win today, will go into a first-place tie with the Bears at 5-2. Tampa Bay losers are a half a game behind. The Vikings fall to 3-4, and the Lions, who lost in overtime to the Redskins, in last place at 2-5.
I think that's the biggest surprise. It's been the Detroit Lions. Now you see, you have Barry Sanders, you have but they just haven't been able to throw the football consistently. If they could play like they did against the 49ers, they'd be outstanding. But that means that Scott Mitchell has to be like that every game. And to be honest with you, I think he's having a rough time doing it.
That's why you got to like this team. Because
sure.
they may, you know, Kramer is having a fine year of the Bears, right? No question about it. But Brett Favre, who's now amongst the elite in the NFL, sure, the best quarterback in the division.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I think that's a great observation. And particularly when you see that, you know, Curtis Conway's coming into his own in Chicago, and Graham and Timpson, and around here, Brooks is just starting to come on. And you really you need a lot out of your quarterback, and Favre's been giving it to him because you don't have the strength of receivers that Chicago does.
26 seconds remaining. Favre today completed 22 of 43 for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he has 16 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions.
Yeah, and it's easy to see with those numbers, and you see the career high in a 300-yard game there. It's easy to see why Sports Illustrated was following him around all week. They consider him the next great quarterback, and with days like this, you got to agree.
Third down and 1. Brad Johnson looking to the end zone, and it's knocked down. On the road to Detroit and Minnesota. Then come back here to play the Bears to finish that 5-game string against division foes. And if they're going to add some more time to the clock, there are 9 seconds showing right now. Corey alone with his thoughts. Johnson. Wide open was Carter. Five seconds remaining. Packers have lost only 2 games this year to the Rams in the opener by 3 here, and they lost to the Cowboys by 10 in Dallas. Brad Johnson's throw again. 1 second remaining. The Packers have not started a season 5-2 since 1978. Fritz Shermer saying before the game, Matt, you know, you want to put these games into the bank and get the wins now. You don't know what's going to happen down the stretch.
You know, and the point that you made earlier about maybe having home field advantage later on is a great point, because coming into Lambeau Field in Green Bay in that kind of weather is a tough place to play. And it's a psychological advantage, one that the Bears had in their stretch drive a few years ago.
Yes, they did. 3rd and goal, and the pass not intercepted by Doug Evans, and the game is over. The game is over, and the Green Bay Packers, sparked by Reggie White, Brett Favre, and Mike Shimura, defeat the Minnesota Vikings 38-21.